John's brain isn't working this episode, so here it is. Here's John.
Have you... I think... Why the... Do you know him?
This is awful. Bryan, feed him some lines.
Okay, John, what is your opinion on ducks? That's some good material right there. Come on.
They're like little swans.
They are, aren't they? You gotta quack it up.
Quack it up.
Okay. I'll give you another one.
Oh,
Alright. What flavor Pop-Tart is your favorite?
We can only get really one here.
Unless you go to the special aisle in Tesco and you can get the cookies and cream one.
You ever go to Fresh? Fucking Pop-Tart City down there.
Oh, they got birthday cake flavor.
Yeah, they do.
That's so special.
Yeah.
We had to import those from America before.
I don't think I've ever had like birthday cake flavored anything.
Birthday cake flavor is just vanilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a sugary vanilla. Well done, America. You fucking cracked the code.
Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast, the world's strongest video game podcast. I am sitting here with two of the most dangerous competitors in the Kengan Annihilation Tournament. To my left, it's the Bird of Darkness with 8 wins and 0 losses. It's Bryan.
Hey, everyone.
To my right, the King of Stranglers with 47 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw. It's Niamh. What?
I wanted an animal too. You didn't give me
it's
one.
It's a cow. I give you the King of Stranglers, and you pick a fucking cow.
Cows are brutal.
It's a steer.
Hell yeah.
They got fucking cool horns.
Yeah.
But I am just like a duck with a caw for some reason.
And with you always, it's the Dark Prince of the Let's Fight a Boss podcast. It's Jome.
Farmer Jome.
Farmer Jome.
Jome's here to fucking kick your butt.
Guys, we're recording on a Friday.
What?
Yep. So if you listen to this Friday, if you're looking at this podcast feed Friday and there's no podcast there, just remember that it's coming back Monday and let yourself know that in the past somehow. Is that feasible?
It means it's not our problem anymore.
I've seen what our listeners do. They're very creative.
Just write a note and memento it to yourself.
Yeah, tattoo it to your foot. Because you're not going to look at your foot that often. But when you do, you're really going to pay attention to it. So
LFAB out on Monday.
Until further notice. Maybe it'll change. But, at the moment, it's a Monday kind of show.
I was thinking of like a kind of like special Monday tagline we could give the podcast. So what do you guys think of this? The Kings of Monday Morning.
Sounds like it's never been used before.
Yeah. We could be like, fuck off, Garfield. There's a new piece of shit in town.
Fuck off, Garfield.
Fuck off, Garfield.
That's
works,
So that's the new t-shirt. Fuck off, Garfield. It's just a sad picture of Garfield. You like that one, Bryan?
Yeah. Like a really, really quick drawing of him.
Yeah, we just need to get in touch with Jim Davis. I'm sure he's accessible.
I think that's just an entire boardroom of,
Cubes.
Yeah.
Just Sele.
They're like picking... Yeah, honestly, it's like Sele, and they're writing Garfield every day, and they're like, how about if Garfield has an iPhone? Or how about like Garfield, and like John's like, Garfield, get out of here, working on my app. Because Grandma knows what an app is now. Garfield. There you go, where print media died.
Oh, man. Guys, we released a new video.
We certainly did. We
certainly did.
We played a game very dear to my heart. but my heart was broken into 1,000 pieces that day.
Why?
Because someone couldn't fucking make Kirby run, and instead double tapped him so his butt scooted along the fucking floor like a fool.
He's like major ass rash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really fun playthrough to do, mostly because Bryan was so frustrated.
Yeah, I think I've never felt such a cocktail of like rage and disappointment from someone.
Yeah, just like, like, I know how excited you are for us to experience that, and then we were just way worse than you could ever imagine. I've never played a SNES game. Well, recently.
You have a SNES Mini at home.
Yeah, you know what I do with those.
Yeah, I do. They collect dust on a shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have mine in a drawer, and every now and then I open it and I go, oh! And then I close the drawer.
I think I play my SNES Mini once a month. I actually think I'm like the one person in the world that actually like gave a shit about
Oh,
that thing.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I bet if you added up like all the SNES Minis that people have bought and then added up the total hours played, I bet the total hours played would be less than the number bought.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was a fucking novelty. I'd say so many like normo dads got that as a Christmas present from their normo wife, and he was like, Joan, you shouldn't have. And then he's like, it's just in the fucking attic collecting dust. And someday when he's an old man and he's a widower, he'll get it up. He'll get it, and he'll take it out, and he'll be like, Joan, you really fucking shouldn't have. But then his hands will be too old to play the game.
Do you guys ever think what it'd be like being a widower?
No.
Because me and Michelle talk about that a lot.
Why do you think about your wife dying? You're not even married yet.
But like, she's gonna live way longer
Yeah.
than you.
Oh, I have to outlive Michelle.
Why? Just to fulfill your Fitz and the Wolf fantasy?
No, because I don't want her to be sad.
Oh.
That's the whole reason. I don't want to...
No, you see, men die first so women can live their best life for afterwards.
Yeah, you see, it's tricky because it's like two things I feel very passionately about is not being alive for very long, but not leaving Michelle alone by herself. And if only there was some kind of happy medium
I'll take care of her.
where we could...
I'll give you my word.
Niamh, you're getting way too overfamiliar. Niamh sent Michelle a message the other day and it started with, hey, BB.
Hey, that's a bit fresh.
That is a bit fresh, isn't it?
I can't believe she told you.
Well, I had to because she was in bed and she was giggling about it. And I was like, what are you doing?
Talking to fucking girls.
Oh. Guys, I watched the final season of Orange is the New Black after not barely watching any other more of that show.
So you watched it more or less out of context.
Pretty much.
Have you seen the first season at all?
I watched like 2 episodes of the first season and I was like, I fucking hate this.
But like, you have the gist that there's kind of...
There's women in prison. One of them hasn't been in prison before. I don't fucking know.
Despite
Yeah.
her being there for 7 years now, I guess, if we're on season 7.
But that was the gimmick.
Yeah.
Starting off. This was a great season and I think I've misjudged Orange is the New Black.
You liked it?
Yeah. I thought it was really, really good.
I really can't tell if you're fucking with us or
I'm
not.
not genuinely
Really?
not fucking. I thought Tasty's story this season so fucking sad,
Oh yeah, no, you poor I love Tasty so much.
and she's nearly the main character.
She sort of became the main character
Yeah.
after they exhausted all of the Piper stuff.
See, here's my thing. I think Piper's like a decent character. Like I get it. I don't like her, but like yeah, she's like I can see what they were going for with her, and yeah, it's cool. A lot like she was barely in a lot of this season.
Yeah. Around season 4, they stopped giving her flashback episodes, and I think there's a couple episodes where she wasn't even in it,
Yeah.
and it just suited the story better.
And like her storyline with Alex Voss, like I was kind of into that, but a lot of other stuff Piper didn't care. But it was really interesting seeing her. How spoiler do we get?
It's fine. It's like it's all there in the synopsis and in the trailer that she was in parole this season.
Okay, yeah, like so she's like trying to readjust to the world, and there's a lot about like inmates going back out into society, and I thought this season did a really good job of like showing how stacked the deck is against them, and it was so frustrating and it was so sad. But like the thing I think that really got me this season was like the internment camp stuff. Part
yeah.
of this takes place in like a Mexican internment camp, and there was stuff in this, and I want to go research it myself because I don't know, but there was some stuff in this, and it was so fucked up that I was like, this is so ridiculous, it nearly has to be true, because you would be insane to make this up. You know what I mean? And it was really real. Like, it was really kind of... There was a couple of points where the series really got me, and it makes me regret writing off Orange is the New Black so quickly the first time I watched it.
Well, you see, the thing with Orange is the New Black is it was good, and then at some point it became, and this is why I haven't started season 7, it became real misery porn. I think it was after Poussey died I stopped watching it, because that was so brutal and so horrible, and nothing really came from it, and it was really riding the line between, like, the first season was this, like, I guess a dark comedy, and then it became like a social commentary about these people, these women in this prison system, but it was also very like watch them suffer a lot of the time.
See, the misery sustains me.
Yeah, after 7 seasons of seeing like I don't know, the Poussey death, like her being choked out on the floor was just just such an awful thing to watch, that I feel like a lot of Orange is the New Black fans, especially like me as well, like just got fatigued
for me,
with that.
I watched like parts of the first season, and it was like, I thought it was like kooky.
It was, season 1 was kind of kooky,
and
it's a very silly show.
That,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I really didn't like that. And even parts of that where that kind of poked through in season 7, I was a little bit like, ugh. But like that's a real personal thing. Like I would never come around to that style of comedy, no matter how well it was done. But a lot of the misery, like, it's interesting here you describe it as misery porn, because I kind of like that stuff.
Like,
I mean, but you're saying this as someone who's watched 2 episodes of season 1 and then season 7 and has missed 5 seasons in the middle. If you watch 7 seasons of kind of...
I could pretty happily watch 5 seasons of that.
There's a lot of just scenes...
Some of it's awful.
There's so many scenes of just a woman struggling to get somewhere and just being told no.
Or just being beaten in the showers, or just like there's a lot of abuse, and like it's good as well.
Some of the abuse stuff was a little uncomfortable, all right.
Yeah, like, and it's good because
like,
also you're
sure
showing
that
this
shit happens.
Yeah, no,
you know?
but that's what's good about it. But at some point, it's just like I can see why in 2019, like, people are like, I need to check out of this kind of TV. You know what I mean? I don't think I need to see this.
I mean, fair enough. I don't think that would ever be me, but I get where you're coming from. Bryan, what do you think of this season?
No, I think I enjoyed it more than last season. I didn't enjoy last season at all. I really like the previous season where it all takes place over 2 days.
I want to go back and watch that season.
It's a very silly season. There is some really fucked up shit that season. Mm-hmm. But this season had a bunch of new characters where they were all detention center deportees, or soon to be deported. And there was one character, I think she's like a legal secretary, but she's separated from her 2 sons. But she has her own episode, and it's the saddest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
I really, really liked her character, and just everything is against her. And I was genuinely bothered by her storyline because of how sad it was.
There was a really awful bit where a woman kind of gets like... It's some weird happenstance that she ends up in an immigrant. Like, her green card hadn't gone through yet. Some weird coincidence, and she just ended up in this internment center. And so her husband comes to visit her. But when he comes to visit her, they do like an automatic background check on any visitors, and they find that his green card isn't going. And so he gets like put into one of these camps as well. And it's really fucked up.
Yeah.
But like, it gave me context for how bad the situation in the border is right now, and just how like completely fucking wrong it is, you know. And it was good. Like, it was, I thought it was really strong storytelling. Cool.
I'm like, I'll watch it on your recommendation. Like, it sounds like this is dealing with some more relevant stuff.
The last 10 minutes I didn't like, but the last 10 minutes where you kind of get your closure, it was fine.
I completely zoned out for that whole thing.
Yeah, same. Like, it wasn't like, you know, 6 Feet Under or something like that, where you get like a bunch of open-ended closure at the same time, or anything.
Do they
like that.
still do the goofy prison guard stuff?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of a frustrating aspect of it as well, where it's kind of showing the realities of these women in prison and internment camps now. And then it's kind of like, there's some people who are evil, but there's some who are just kind of goofy and well-meaning.
There's one character, he's like a really goofy prison guard, and he's like a character from The Office.
Yep.
And he always seemed really out of place to me. There is one Marie Kondo joke in this that made me laugh my ass off. It was really funny.
There are bits in the season where a character does something right and you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Those bits make it worth it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that show existed. I think if it was made now, it wouldn't get made on Netflix. I think it actually was ahead of its time.
Yeah, it was. And
because the show was a risk at the time. I think it was like the second or third show that Netflix made. Because the first one was House of Cards, and then there was like some other sitcom-y thing. But like this was like the other show that they made back in 2013 when they started producing their own content.
You know the way like the popular thing is House of Cards got really bad?
Yeah.
It was never good. It was never ever good. But yeah, I really like to be proven wrong about things I don't like, and I think I was wrong about this show. Like, even I think if I went back and watched the first season now, even though it's like a lot kookier, I think I'd have like a different appreciation for it, because I understand what they were going for, and I thought it was cool, you know.
That's cool. Really surprising.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah. It makes me want to watch it.
Yeah.
There you go, everyone.
There you go.
Orange
Guys,
and
thank you for
Black.
joining us for Let's Fight a Boss Video Game Podcast. And we're going to go to our loot drop section. Brian, what do you got?
I actually got one more TV show to talk
The
about.
World's Smallest Cat, Part 2.
You're so lucky that video wasn't like fucking racist or made you look like the biggest jerk. You got off so lucky with that video. Just a really small cat. I watched The Boys.
I'm so curious.
Yeah, me
Alright.
too. People have been asking.
Okay, The Boys. This.
Have you read the comic?
Yeah, I love the comic.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Oh man, I'm very fond of that comic.
So the comic is a Garth Ennis comic. It's what he made after Preacher. So I guess he made Preacher in the 90s, and then he made The Boys in the 2000s. Because I remember us reading it about 10, 15 years ago.
It's crazy. I never finished that.
I finished it via a Wikipedia synopsis.
Right.
And when that comic was good, it was fantastic. But I think it did suffer from pacing issues.
Yeah, also sometimes they'd switch out the artist.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say that comic can look really ugly.
Yeah.
Yes. Some really awful digital art where someone is like using the burn tool.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was 2001. People were just discovering the burn tool.
Yeah.
Everything was so spherical.
Yeah, so it was definitely one of those
Huey's
comics.
head.
Yeah. So it was definitely one of those comics that was making the awful transition from traditional to digital.
Oh yeah, you can see it happen.
And the boys had to fucking suffer from it.
But then some of the artwork was really expressive and cool.
Yeah, it was. And I do like that it's a response to Justice League and stuff like that. I know Watchmen does it in a way more, I don't know, clever way, I guess. But this is kind of like, this is the edgiest 15-year-old boy, but kind of like, you know what? He's actually right.
But I think this is good edge.
Yeah, it is. No, it is.
Man, like sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's kind of silly. But for the most part, just like them like depicting superheroes as these fucking assholes who just have orgies the whole time and can do whatever they want. I thought that was fun.
Yeah. So the TV adaptation, it's on Amazon Prime, and the first season is 8 episodes. And it's produced by Seth Rogen and Evan, who did Preacher. So if you like the TV adaptation of Preacher, you will like the TV adaptation of The Boys.
Sold.
It's in a similar tone. Then the actual like lead writer, co-developer, creator is the guy who created Supernatural, because that show just ended.
Oh man, Michelle hasn't said anything.
Yeah.
She's in mourning.
I'm pretty sure it's the same guy, because I was like, okay, but tonally, it definitely feels like the comic The Boys. But what they've done is they've looked at like the media landscape of 2018 to 2019 and tweaked some of the things that might be considered, you know, controversial, well, like, you know, like that would get a very bad review just for the sake of what was in it.
What's in the basement, Mother's Milk?
Yeah.
What's in the basement?
So I guess an example is stuff in comic books can only ever sometimes exist in comic books, because it's like there's no way they could ever make that into a TV show or a movie, because that is so like messed up and disrespectful that it would get too many complaints that they couldn't do it. And so there's a bit in the comic where it's the botched 9/11 rescue.
Oh my god, yeah.
So they do that, but it's not 9/11. It's just like a fictional plane hijacking, but it plays out exactly the same.
That's fine.
And like, I was totally okay with that, because my favorite part of that arc is how botched it got.
Yeah.
And it's just because the superheroes have no formal training in like hostage rescue or talking down someone holding a hostage. They have no formal training in it.
Yeah.
And it's the main guy, Homelander, who is just like a fucked up sociopathic version of Captain America and Superman.
Yeah, totally.
And he overuses his laser vision and just fucks up the control deck of the airplane. And then the Wonder Woman character, Queen Maeve, who becomes a kind of emotionally closed alcoholic because of it, is handled really well too. And they kind of ground them in a sense of reality.
Yeah.
There's the stuff with Starlight, you know, the way she joins the Seven, and it's not good.
Yeah, how far do they go with that?
They lean into the Me Too stuff, and the guy that assaults her, the Deep, who's kind of like the kind of parody of Aquaman, he issues a non-apology apology video where he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry you felt that way," and it's done like so he looks like the biggest fucking dickhead. It's handled pretty well in terms of the narrative.
I haven't watched the TV show, but like when you're kind of doing satire based on this stuff, like say for example, like Starlight's character, are just like the fact that there's one female character in the lineup, you know, that kind of stuff, and it's a commentary nearly on the Avengers and, you know, Black Widow's role or whatever.
Yeah.
Does it become just that, or do you think it's doing a good enough job at commenting on the MCU and what modern superheroes are?
Yeah, definitely, because in this universe there's no comic books. There are comic books, but they're based on the superheroes that exist in the world. So they're seen as like social media celebrity heroes. And whenever they announce someone in their new superhero group, it's done as a keynote speech. And nobody believes that they're bad people because of how in control in the media and how well they do press releases and touring panels and stuff like that. Like, they can work a crowd so well in their favor. What else do they do? That's kind of like, for me, it was like, I really didn't like the pacing in the comics, but they burned through so much of the first couple of like hardbacks of the comic in this, and then kind of rewrite stuff so that it's much neater. And a lot of stuff happens in 8 episodes that would have taken like 2 or 3 years worth of comic to happen. Like, they really, really burn through the material. So like, it'll end on a cliffhanger at each episode and you're in for the next one.
Did you ever watch Preacher, Niamh?
No.
I think you'd really like it.
Yeah, Preacher's fantastic.
Yeah. Ruth Negga is just the best in it.
Yeah. Season 4 of that just started, but I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched season 3 yet. I think I want to watch The Boys first, though.
Yeah. The Boys is very... I think the cast is fantastic. The superheroes are never not in costume, which I think is very funny. They're always, like, themselves, except for Annie, who plays Starlight, because she has a relationship with Huey. They changed Huey because, like, his likeness is based on...
Nick Frost.
No.
Or...
Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
And in that he plays a Scottish guy called Wee Huey, but in this he's an American guy that kind of just looks like the guy from the OC, but his dad is played by Simon Pegg.
If people aren't familiar with The Boys, the idea is like, it's not actually about the superheroes, it's about the boys, who is like this like kind of weird kind of watchdog group who are superpowered but they're not superheroes, and it's their job to keep an eye on the superheroes and to keep them in line, which is good because the superheroes are like the worst people you could possibly imagine.
They're
like,
not good folk.
They're like celebrities if celebrities had like, you know, insane inhuman abilities. So they're just the worst.
Yeah. They did a really, really good job of casting all the boys. Like the females done by the girl who played Katana in Suicide Squad.
Cool.
But she has much more of a backstory in season 1 because you have to wait for ages. You don't know anything about the female.
Yeah, I always wanted to know more about the female.
Like, she's already more fleshed out in season 1. The Frenchman, they've changed him a bit.
Did they do his backstory?
Not yet.
Because I was thumbing through an old boys comic recently enough, actually, and I forgot that his backstory is that someone in France killed his father by ramming a baguette through him. And it's like a national sport over there, even though like it's obviously not, but it's like, and it's like this made up backstory to make him seen. It's really funny. It's weird.
The guy playing Mother's Milk is very good because I kind of found Mother's Milk very dry in the comics, but the guy they have him in this one is very funny. They haven't like gone into Mother's Milk's backstory at all, but like he's very much like, yes, my first name is Mothers and my surname is Milk. Like, you call me MM.
Oh, and what about the main dude?
Bill the Butcher.
Yeah.
He's played by Judge Dredd. What's that actor's name? He's also in Lord of the Rings, and he was in...
Does he have a British accent?
He's a New Zealand actor because he was in Thor Ragnarok as well. He was Cate Blanchett's right-hand guy. What's the guy? I can't remember his name. Someone's screaming at me about what his name is, and that's cool.
Frodo Baggins.
Yes, Frodo. Okay. He's from New Zealand, and sometimes his accent slips kind of Kiwi, but like it is a bit like, all right, mate.
Every time I hear Kiwi, I think it's an offensive term.
It's not.
And I get a shock for a second, and then I'm like, oh wait, no.
No, it's grand.
Queen Maeve
fucking
is
Kiwi. See,
played by an Irish woman, isn't she?
She was on that RTE show Raw.
Oh yeah.
But she's not Irish in the show, but she sure looks Irish, but she has an American accent. But maybe she's like one of us, where she sounds kind of like Queen Maeve doesn't really have that much to say because in the comics she doesn't do much either.
She just fucks a bunch of male models and like.
Yeah, in this one she's a closet lesbian, but she can't. But she can't be a lesbian because of her image.
I'm out. I'm in and out.
Yeah. Noir's in it. He does nothing because he does nothing in the comics. He's the Batman.
He does like one thing in the comics and it's really scary.
Yeah. In this he plays the piano.
That's the scariest instrument.
That is the scariest instrument. I think if Ghost played the piano in front of me, I'd fucking lose it.
Yeah, he's very good at the piano, so maybe that's something to work with, but it's really about Homelander this season, and the guy playing Homelander is so good. And like he just looks like such a dickhead.
That's good because like I never finished The Boys, but I've always wanted to see Homelander get his head kicked in because he is the most detestable villain.
Yeah.
Like he's just the worst.
Yeah. He's very good.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm gonna start watching this tomorrow.
Yeah. I very much enjoyed it. There isn't anything like too shocking if you've read the comics, but if you don't know anything about this, be warned. It's a bit messed up.
Bryan, that sounds fantastic.
The best show ever made.
The best show ever made, finally. Or is it? Guys, I've been watching something. I've been watching a Netflix original anime called Kengan Ashura.
Okay.
So, Kengan Ashura, it's really hard not to talk about Kengan Ashura without bringing up Grappler Baki, because that's what it kind of is. You get like 2 episodes into Kengan Ashura and you're like, oh my god, the person who writes Kengan Ashura loves Grappler Baki so fucking much that this may as well be an AU manga. It's crazy. It's all about like mixed martial arts. It's an arena fighter. It's like, this is like a martial arts battle manga. It's one of those, and it's a weird one because I think in the same way that Grappler Baki, what I love about Grappler Baki is obsessed with fighting, but it's also obsessed with just like martial arts and combat sports, and it has such a like deep love and respect for those things to the point that it nearly becomes a parody, Kengan Ashura is like Grappler Baki, except really surface level. It's just obsessed with like cartoony fights and nothing else. And in some ways that means it's way more outlandish than Grappler Baki, and then in some ways it's like it's way less outlandish because the universe takes itself so much less seriously. There's a guy in this whose fighting style is like a rocket launcher. He learned to fight like a rocket launcher. That's his deal. You know, there's another fighter whose fighting style is ballet. And it's like, it's really dumb. I want to give you guys some quotes from the first couple of episodes. Number 1, the Kengan Annihilation Tournament. Number 2, 1,450 fighters. Maybe that man will be among them. Number 3, he died because he was weak. Michelle watched 5 minutes of this thing and she was like, this is the most you show I've ever seen in my life.
This sounds like if you fed a bot loads of anything you like and it spit out an episode of something.
100%. That's what this show feels like. This show feels so unaware that other battle manga exists, but I kind of love it. It's like, it's so dumb and it's so much fun. And I've been kind of like circling Kengan Ashura for a while. I read the first couple of chapters of it. It's all based on a manga. I read the first couple of chapters of it like a year or two ago, and I came away thinking like, this is just diet Grappler Baki. That's what this is. I still feel that way, but man, I burned through the 12 episodes of this. I had such a fun time, and a lot of it's just like the sort of cheesy, dumb side of battle manga, but it has stuff going for it as well, like this anime in particular. The manga, the drawings start off very, very rough, which is unusual because it's an artist-writer duo, and usually in that case, you'll get like a very talented artist who just draws and doesn't write. Very like rough, sketchy drawings, and with this it's weird because it's 3D. The vast majority of the show is 3D, and it looks pretty janky. Like there's a lot of stiff animation and stuff, but the direction is like pretty decent. The music's great. It's all just like, you know, butt metal, like fighting butt metal.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all done with enough personality that I just really had a blast with this one. It's the kind of thing where this is a battle anime. You know, my favorite form of media is battle anime, and it's not like this wouldn't even make my top 10 battle anime, but if you love this kind of stuff, if you love really like melodramatic fighters like talking shit at each other and having like these big intense punch outs, it is totally that, and it is totally like amazing for that. And I had such a good time with it, and I'm really sad that I've run out of seasons for it. It's not going to do anything for you if you don't like this kind of stuff. You know, this is not going to turn you around on that kind of thing. But I kind of loved it. Biggest criticism I could say is that Grappler Baki exists, and there's no reason that you would pick Kengan Ashura over Grappler Baki unless you're a crazy person.
Do you know what this show kind of sounds like? Eating Burger King at the airport.
Bryan, this show is eating Burger King at the airport.
Like, there's nothing wrong with doing that.
There's nothing wrong with doing it.
But obviously there's better options.
There is.
But what's wrong with eating Burger King?
If you just think about it a little bit and are willing to invest a little more money, there's way better options. But Kengan Ashura is on Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be dismissive of it. I genuinely had the time of my fucking life watching it. It was so good. All the fighters have like entrance music and like wrestler entrances, which I've never seen before. It's fucking amazing. And it's just a lot of battle manga. There's always a tournament arc, right? Yu Yu Hakusho takes about 20 episodes to get to the tournament. Grappler Baki takes an entire season to get to the tournament. Dragon Ball takes about the same 20-25 episodes. This gets to the tournament in 3 episodes, and the whole rest of the anime is a fighting tournament. It also covers like, by episode 7 it had covered 45 chapters of the manga. The manga is like 250 chapters. it's all a fighting tournament. There's no real story. There's even a bit where someone is like talking to the main character, and he's like, "Oh, you want to find that man because he killed your master?" And he's like, "No, I just want to show everyone how strong I am."
He's no like personal stakes.
Yeah. There is interesting stuff, like it's a fighting tournament run by like corporations, and so there's all these real life like imitations of corporations. There's like Nintendo with an E instead of an I. Ronald McDonald is one of the managers of one of these.
Is he shredded?
No, he's like the manager, and so he has someone else fighting for him.
Okay.
And there is some kind of stuff in there about like corporations, like because all the martial artists really just care about fighting and like just getting better, but the corporations are all making these massive financial. The whole premise, I'll shut up soon. The whole premise of the thing is that, you know, when like two corporations run into a stalemate, there's this secret underground martial arts tournament that they both pick fighters for and sort the dispute out through there. So like there's always like land deals at stake, and it's so fucking stupid. I love this anime. 10 out of 10.
Okay, Niamh, it's your turn.
Niamh, tell us about Dark.
I can't top that.
Oh, I think you can.
So Dark was recommended to me by someone saying it's Stranger Things for adults, which I've come
It's
to...
on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's a Netflix TV show, which I've come to understand means it's Stranger Things with a plot. Again, I don't really get the comparison yet, but I'm only 4 episodes in, so I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't know where it goes. It's a German TV show, and it's 2 seasons in. They're going to do another final season, and that's where they're wrapping it up. I think Netflix was like, you get 3 seasons.
At least they got 3 seasons.
Yeah. R.I.P. the OA.
Yep.
The Dark is set in a small town in kind of rural Germany. And there's always this big nuclear plant in the background. And it has a very, what I can only describe as German aesthetic, even though I haven't seen a lot of German TV shows, where it's very wide shots, a lot of pop music, and a lot of very big focus on sound design and interweaving 80s synth pop into the sound design. It looks and it feels like really, really great. It kind of opens with a real bang. It's a suicide of a boy's father, and he leaves a note in a box that says, "Don't open this until November 10th or whatever." And that's your kind of starting hook, and you're kind of going, something's going on in this town. Birds start falling from the sky. Sheep are found dead in fields, and there's a missing boy. We're getting a taste of every person in the town, from the children who go to the high school to the adults, their parents. There's a woman who runs a hotel who's just so frustrated at all the news about this missing child because it's ruining tourism to the town. There's the police chief who's trying to find this boy who's dealing with distraught parents who are like, "What have you done?" There's another police chief who's trying to find the middle ground between these two people and sort it out. And you're getting all these characters thrown at you. And you're like, is this about the kids or is it about the adults? And you start to figure out there's cheating, there's all these relationships going on between the adults. And you're like, why is this important? Then a night comes and a group of kids from school are like, that missing boy had a drug stash in the caves. If we go and get his drugs, we can sell them. So 4 kids and their kid brother sneak off to the cave. Something happens. They don't know what it is. It comes at them and they run. The little boy goes missing. 33 years ago, another little boy went missing. That little boy then wakes up and it's 1986. And he meets his father as a teenager. He goes to his house and he's like, "Mom, Dad," and it's like his dad there, but he's young, and he's like, "Who are you? What are you doing, child, at my house? Fuck off, I'm going to school." And it's his dad, and he's like run up against his family. But at that time, in that day where that little boy appears back in the past in the 80s, another little boy goes missing who was his uncle. And a little boy's body is found in the future. And the last...
So are we seeing this like through the little boy's perspective, or is it both?
We're seeing it from everyone's perspective in the town.
Right.
And there's a very helpful bit at the end of episode 3 where they line up the future version and the younger version. So it's young dad and him as the cop in the town in 2018. So they go through the whole cast of characters. This is young them, this is older them, this is young version of them, this is older them. There's something going on in the town where someone is stealing children and trying to find a portal between time. This happens in the first 3 episodes, and there's 2 seasons.
All right.
Okay.
It's got a heavy setup. It's interesting. You're kind of already putting the pieces together. Sorry if this was very spoilery, but like this is the setup. Maybe I'll put a spoiler warning.
I don't think you need to spoil.
Yeah, this is the reason to watch it. Like this is this is what's going to happen, and now the mystery gets solved.
That's the hook.
Yeah, that's the hook. Is there is a portal between the 2000s and 86, and can you get back? Can you get through? Who's doing it? There's a nuclear power plant. The nuclear power plant is failing because Chernobyl happened. What's going on?
You enjoying this, Niamh?
I'm into it. Like it is like it's interesting. It's really interesting TV. It's like I haven't watched a German TV show in a very long time. I don't think. There's a dub of this if you don't like subtitles, and it's. I watched an episode in the dub just to see what it was like. It's pretty decent. I was actually like, wow, dub actors really give it their all. A lot of breathy breathing for this sex scene. But like, I think it's like if you want something dark and if you want some weird TV, then dark is something to check out. And its aesthetic is like it looks cool, like when birds are falling from the sky and there's just, it's like you don't see the German wilderness on TV a lot, so it's really like tall pine wooded tree areas and just an aesthetic you're not really used to seeing, especially on Netflix. But it also brings in the 80s nostalgia with the music and the children and the fashion. It's interesting, and I'm really excited to see where it goes, and I'm happy that I'm happy to know it gets an ending, and it's not going to be just cancelled by Netflix with no kind of resolution to it all. So I think you could go into this knowing there's 2 seasons there and another one to come, and it's kind of a safe watch.
Cool.
But yeah, it's interesting, and I'm glad I watched it so far.
All right.
Good shit.
Yeah, I think I'll check that out later this year.
Sounds interesting. Guys, we all watched Full Force, the new documentary from iDubbbz.
I think we all got recommended this, but it was you, Niamh, who was like, have you guys seen this? Because like, I saw the thumbnail and I was like, okay.
Yeah. Huge change in direction from iDubbbz, who's like probably best known for like his content cops, where he basically goes after like, he problematically goes after another problematic YouTuber.
Yeah.
I think I've always felt kind of mixed about them. I think he's fucking insanely talented. It's a weird area, you know, the whole kind of drama sphere stuff.
Yeah, like, I don't know why you would actively seek that out, because it's like the most toxic of environments.
Yeah. Saying that, I have gone down several massive drama holes with this stuff. I can tell you all about Leafy is here.
I didn't even know who this dude was, and now I do, and that's a thing.
Yeah. So this is a 55-minute documentary he uploaded to his channel about another YouTuber, but not like a content cop. This is iDubbbz going out to this guy's like home.
Yep.
And visiting him, and the name of the YouTuber is Airsoft Fatty, and
I love that username so much.
It's this guy who makes a lot of different kind of content. He makes cooking videos, he makes airsoft videos, mainly known for his lightsaber duel videos, Niamh, you're a Star Wars fan.
I am.
Do you want to weigh in on?
So, Fatty is a fellow prequel fan. His favorite battle is the Anakin versus Obi-Wan battle from Episode 3, and it's a good one.
That's a good fight.
Yeah.
Fatty is a Jedi, true and true. Like he believes.
Robert's
in
a Sith.
Yeah, he believes in the power of the Jedi.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
And so basically, iDubbbz goes to this guy's house because he. If you haven't seen this documentary, like when we're saying like I guess the lightsaber duels, the spectacle isn't in this man's skill with the lightsaber. It's much more like this very strange human in a very particular living situation who
Beating
has
the shit out of each other.
it's like these lightsaber duels go really wrong. It's like a cross between Jackass and a lightsaber duel, and they're these like.
It's got a real backyard wrestling vibe.
Absolutely.
It's friends with a camera who are into something and they want to make a cool video.
Backyard wrestling vibes with the least physically capable people you could imagine.
Yeah, and like boys who are now in their early 20s but have been doing it since their mid-teens.
Yeah.
And they miss it.
And is this the South?
No,
This Midwest?
It was Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a real Midwest vibe. Like I think we're all kind of fascinated with the kind of culture of small town America.
Yeah, because you know how like you've got the two elitist coastlines.
Yeah.
And I've been to New York, and like we've all been to New York, we've all been to LA, and we know how multicultural and kind of more open-minded they are. And I guess kind of more small town, giant shopping mall, open field America is super interesting because it's like
giant shopping mall, open field. Yeah, for sure.
We just don't see it.
No, like
don't.
I've never been to a Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I went to Walmart once and it was the best thing ever.
We see cities, but we hear about small town America.
And then
but we
like
never
a lot
see
of
it.
our favorite media, Twin Peaks, like that is serious like small town America stuff. And so I love this kind of stuff. I love seeing these people, and like there's so much to it, but like, you know, these guys, like their life is these lightsaber duels, and you know there isn't a whole lot else for them, you know, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah, but then they seem to be okay with it because like that's all they want.
Well, Airsoft Fatty's making he's making a career. Like he's running a successful YouTube channel. He has a Patreon. He's doing it full time. That's not easy. Like not a lot of people get to do that.
What was your favorite moment from it?
The Robert interview.
The Robert interview was very good. I also really, really liked Mike.
Mike was just the best.
Yeah.
I also liked Preston the cat who wore a dress.
There's like Mike is like Fatty's like good friend, and iDubbbz is just like, I think he's just really Fatty's friend.
Yeah.
And they're talking really highly of him. He's just like, he's here to look out for Fatty and stuff. And then all of a sudden he's just like, he's a bit of a pyromaniac, and it just cuts to him looking blankly at a flame, and he's just like, he's set a few fires without consent while we've been here.
I really like the bit where they were asking him, does he like Star Wars? And he's like, more of a Harry Potter guy.
Yeah. It's crazy because like if you're an avid Let's Fight a Boss listener, you'll heard us make occasional references to our Mike. And this is a guy me and Bryan went to college with.
A very interesting, mellow guy.
Yeah. He is exactly the same as the Mike from this documentary, except our Mike has a London accent.
Yeah.
But so iDubbbz gets there, and he's kind of, you know, he's basically taken through Fatty's life, and he's kind of like showing all this kind of stuff. But like the central kind of narrative that starts to come out of this is that the guy that Fatty is always lightsaber dueling in these videos is his friend Robert.
But they had a falling out.
But they've fallen out. And iDubbbz becomes like hell-bent on
a reunion episode.
One last lightsaber duel. And the reason they fall out is because Fatty's saying is because Robert always goes full force, which is when you are fighting like you are about to die. And so Robert kind of starts to get built up as this sort of very dangerous, nearly mythical figure. And so about 2/3 of the way through, they go for an interview at Robert's house, and I don't even want to say too much about it, but within like 3 seconds of that interview starting, you realize what kind of person Robert is, and it's a trip.
I watched this video at work. I had to go to the bathroom for half an hour because I couldn't deal with it. Like, it just... I know people like that, but it was just weird to see like a complete stranger be that, just to remind you of someone that you thought you'd moved on from.
Yeah. I think I still have 1 or 2 Roberts in my life.
Yeah. It was really fun to kind of watch this, but then have other people watching it along with you, and everyone kind of gets to the Robert bit, and everyone's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah. Oh my god. Bryan, you were saying you were saying in the chat to us that you thought it was like a really mean documentary.
Like the guy iDubbbz is definitely a nasty dude. Like he's mean, but like I think everyone in this documentary isn't really putting their best version of themselves, or just putting an honest version of themselves out. Like, I don't think they give a shit if they're misrepresented or any way. Like they're not. Like, I know they add in sound effects and stuff. Like, there's a bit where like Fatty wipes his nose, but they add in like a sound effect, stuff like that. But like, I do think they would watch the video and think it's great. So like,
yeah,
I think if they don't have a problem,
I didn't find it like particularly mean spirited or anything. I thought it was all right. I think iDubbbz definitely has like a mean streak in him, as like, you know, you see in a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
I felt for the most part like it was pretty all right, and I thought like I don't really want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but like the central message of the documentary, like how he sums it all up, that was kind of weirdly sweet. You know, I thought he was kind of right with kind of what he was saying about, you know, Airsoft Fatty and kind of why he thinks Airsoft Fatty is kind of cool. What do you think, Niamh?
I liked it. As we've said about iDubbbz, has a mean streak, and you can definitely critique it, and maybe a lot of people would be upset that we're even recommending this. But like, I did feel like there was a heart to this.
Me
like,
too, totally.
I kind of thought, like I said to the guys, it kind of reminds me of Gothic King Cobra.
Yeah.
And if you guys have seen that, Gothic King Cobra is kind of like, it's bleak, but interesting. This kind of felt more hopeful. Like, it kind of like these are guys doing what they want to do, and they thought this was fun, and they had a fun time. And I don't think anyone came out of it mad at iDubbbz or pissed off, and or, as like Bryan said, like felt misrepresented.
No, I do think they put an honest version of every person out there.
Like, I think the most damaging thing, or one of the craziest parts of the whole documentary, was the Robert interview.
Yeah.
That was completely unedited. Mm-hmm. Like, because the mic fucked up and they couldn't edit it.
Yeah.
So like that interview just played as it happened, and
the bit with the knife.
That was the bit where I was like,
Uh-oh.
oh, okay.
Because then if you read the comments, everyone's like, that guy,
He'll kill someone. He
Yeah.
seems like someone who might kill someone.
like 6 months time, that guy could be on the news. I do think it's good to bring awareness to those kind of people before they get worse.
My favorite part of the whole documentary was like the scene after the lightsaber duel where no one really knows what to do.
Yeah.
And it's weird because like it does really feel like you're kind of watching like the end of this friendship, like in a very real way.
Yeah.
And neither of them know how to deal with it. So they have one final lightsaber duel, and they're both just kind of like, oh, I guess I'll see you around, you know. And it's kind of weirdly sweet, I thought.
It has a sadness to it, and even like Fatty's mom gets interviewed a few times, and like they talk
She's
about
great.
the hardships they've kind of gone through because like Fatty's father died and stuff, and even her like being like she doesn't really want him hanging out with Robert, and you can see why, and you're like, it's a mom looking out for her kid in the best way she can, kind of stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, like here's what I'd say, like when the Shane Dawson documentaries came out, like I was very critical of them, like, and I still am. I don't like the Shane Dawson stuff at all, and I've only grown to dislike it more, especially as that Jake Paul series went on, especially as the Eugenia, what's her name? Cooney.
Yeah, Eugenia Cooney.
I thought that was really irresponsible.
The Shane Dawson documentaries, to me, like, they feel empty. Like they feel like nothing. you know?
like
I always find them interesting, but they do feel like PR.
he's like pretending to be concerned, but you know there's an ultimatum, or like or that he's got an ulterior motive of.
It's for the views.
Yeah, it's running
This
a
is
YouTube
gonna
channel.
go viral,
100%.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just feel with the guy iDubbbz, like, okay, you're not gonna love the guy, but
Well, like, how many content cops could iDubbbz have done with the resources this documentary would have taken? Loads, you know, and those content cops would get way more views than like imagine he did like a content comp on Shane Dawson, be 20 million views in a week easily. This is not going to do. This is still going to do insane numbers because it's
Up to
iDubbbz.
6 million.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
like so it's
already.
still gonna. But like if you compare that to like his Rice Gum
Yeah.
video or whatever, like, but iDubbbz is doing this because he thinks these people are really strange and interesting.
And he also does it like just as YouTube as a platform. These are YouTubers who've been on the platform years, who are kind of underground, like they're the outside artists of YouTube. And
Yeah, they are.
in a place where YouTube is very like corporatized and very based on advertising, because like people can make careers out of it, and like it's very vlogger central and stuff. It's nice to kind of have a spotlight like shone on these other creators who are kind of doing stuff for the love of just recording stuff and putting it out there, you know. Like Fatty just likes Star Wars and he wants to recreate a super epic Star Wars fight. That's why he's doing it. He's doing his cooking with Fatty because he wants to show you how to cook a cheap meal with ramen, like, because that's what he wants to do, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no pretense to him other than he enjoys it. And I think that's cool and that's really nice. And I like the idea that iDubbbz said he wants to do more of these.
Me too.
I really want him to find these YouTubers I've never heard of and give them a moment, you know, whether it's good or bad, we'll see in the future. But
yeah, and like especially with this documentary as well, like I did, like as a documentary, I did feel like there were places where it kind of dragged. There was maybe parts where like the focus was a little all over the place. I'd love to see him, like, but obviously he has a talent for this stuff. Like, this is a good documentary. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'd love to see him refine like his talent and like keep going with this stuff because I think it's fucking awesome.
he could grow into it in a really
100%.
interesting way.
He's like a really mean Louis Theroux.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really like documentaries that are about unusual people or situations. Like the way so many documentaries now are just true crime documentaries. But like I was trying to go through a list of like documentaries I liked that aren't about a murder, and all of a sudden the list becomes way smaller. But you have stuff like the RV guy.
Winnebago Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
where
it's such a good documentary.
Where it's just something, it looked just like a person on a bad day, or yeah, like just something about a human being that catches your attention.
A man who became a meme before memes were memes.
Yeah. And that kind of reminded me of it.
Yeah. But Full Force, it's all on YouTube. It's free. Go watch it. It's cool. Guys, let's move on into our strategy talk. Guys, I beat Dragon Quest.
Congratulations.
Yep, Dragon Quest 11. I finally beat it. That's a solid ass game. That is really, really good. It took me 50 hours to beat, and I enjoyed every single bit of it. There is maybe one or two missions where it drags a little bit, but if you just like a good ass RPG, that's what this is. I would say like it never gets over the bar to like where I want to like scream about it and just be like, this is amazing. Like it always stays at consistently very good. And as it goes on, I think like it opens up in a lot of really interesting ways. Like the level up system, like it seems nearly kind of basic or limiting to begin with, but like you can break that game by the end of it. Like I had such specific party setups things going on. I had like two characters who were focused on buffing one other character, but then one character by herself who was like a self-sufficient unit who could like heal and buff herself and like do loads of damage herself, and it was really, really cool. It's interesting because like what you always hear about Dragon Quest games is like they're just like these meticulously made RPGs. That's what it was. There wasn't anything in the story that you wouldn't get in like a bedtime story, like a children's bedtime story. There was nothing. It's like things get a little dark in the second half, but I've heard people be like, oh, shit gets so dark. It really doesn't. It's like it's like the bad guy starts winning for a little bit, and that's okay, you know. But it was just it was fantastic. Like, just as like in terms of like how the battles work and the visuals, it was just like complete polish, so easy to play, so easy to enjoy. Every like quest in the game takes like an hour, so you play it for an hour, you beat the boss, you're done, and then you come back the next day, and like that's how it's designed, you know. So what I would say is like everything that's good about it is also like its kind of detriment. If you're not into RPGs, if you don't love this stuff, there's nothing about this game that's going to appeal to you. Like, there's just nothing, you know what I mean? But if you love, especially like Super Nintendo era RPGs, this is basically one of them, except it looks really beautiful in 3D. That's it. And I'd have no trouble recommending it to people, like, if that's the kind of adventure you're after. And I'm really glad I beat it. Like, it was great. Really good gay character in it, shockingly. It's like he doesn't have any relationships, but the dude is gay as the day is long, and at no point is anyone grossed out by him. At no point does he like impose. Do they do the thing where
he makes a pass at the main character? Or
he's flirty with the main character, but he's like flirty with everyone. Like, he calls everyone like darling, but he has like a special fondness for like, you know, attractive dudes. But it's never too much. It's never disrespectful. He's just a great character.
And he's fleshed out in other areas as well.
Oh yeah, he has like, you know, he has issues with his dad and all this kind of stuff.
Okay,
and, like,
so he's not just a one-dimensional like gay best friend kind of character.
He's also like the most capable dude in the group. Like, he has a good head on his shoulders as well. And yeah, like he has issues with his dad, and it's really not hard to read like the subtext in that bit. He forms a band of attractive young male dancers who become worked into his special attacks in some fun ways. And it was a really refreshing character. And like, all the characters are fun, but I've never seen like a gay dude depicted that well in a JRPG. Like, especially when you compare it to like just whatever the fuck persona has going on most of the time, you know. And it was really refreshing like that. Really quality game. I beat the main story, and like the post game opened up, and immediately with the post game, what I've read is that there's an additional 20 hours of story, which is insane.
That's so much.
Like, the credits roll. Now, I haven't played it, so I can't confirm it. This is just what I read online, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone was exaggerating. But this is also a world designed to be explored in the post game. Like, so much stuff changes post game, and it's cool. And the day after I beat it, I really had an urge to go back and play more of it, and I think that's probably the highest like credit I could give this game. It was great, and it's coming out on the Switch later this year. I would absolutely recommend it to people if you just want a really solid RPG to chip away at. Super charming, super fun. Dragon Quest XI, check it out. Bryan,
Yep.
you have been playing Baba Is Me?
Baba is you. Baba is who?
That is you.
You?
Baba is whatever you want it to be. Sometimes you're not even Baba.
What?
Do you guys know about this game?
I've heard
Yeah.
bits and pieces.
It was on sale on the Switch, so I thought I'd give it a go. This game is something else. Sometimes it makes you feel like the smartest person ever. Sometimes you feel like a big old dum-dum. It's a puzzle game, I guess, and you have a big overworld map, and you can go in, and you can chip away at the puzzles whatever way you want. But sometimes you'll kind of come across one, and you're like, "Oh my god!" And usually the solution is real simple. It's just your brain. Like, there's a lot of lateral thinking in the puzzles. You play as a little white bunny rabbit called Baba, and there's text on screen, and I guess it's an old school game in that you push stuff around. You can push around objects, but you can also push around the text, and when you push around the text, it changes the rules of the puzzle. So Baba is you means that according to the game, you are Baba, which is the little white rabbit. But if you move it to a rock, so there might be something like the rock is win, or maybe the rock is solid. But if you go rock is you, then you are now controlling the rock in the level.
Okay, yeah.
So it's kind of like a little bit of coding as the puzzle.
Yeah.
Really?
So let's say you have a puzzle where you're Baba and you're trapped inside a wall of rocks, and the flag that you have to reach as Baba is outside the rocks. The way you would solve the puzzle is you would move the text around so that you are controlling the rocks, and then you would slide the rock to the flag, and it would count as a win.
Cool.
But that's not how normal games are played, so
This looks like a weird Nintendo game.
yeah, like this game could have been made 20 years ago. Like there's nothing in this game that is limiting itself via technology. Like this is just nobody thought about making this game until now, and you have to unlearn a lot of stuff. So I think the more video games you've played, the harder this is, because it's just, you really have to think outside the box in some of the puzzles. And like they're all pretty simple puzzles, and usually there's 2 or 3 different ways to solve them, but you have to like and like there is no way to brute force it really. Like you have to like think 2 or 3 steps ahead at all times about what are my limits and what are my hidden limits in this level.
Are you enjoying it? Do you like it?
I like it when something clicks, but sometimes it doesn't click, and you have to go, you know what? I've been spending an hour in this puzzle. I'm not gonna get this one. I'm gonna have to watch it on YouTube. And you watch it on YouTube, and you scroll down through the comments, and everyone is like, "You're here because of this too, aren't you?" Like, and so I guess I'm not the only one. Like there is a community. I do think like this game, like I think it's from a game jam. It feels like it was made by the developers, and it wasn't really play tested that much. Like,
Right.
the people who made this game know how to play this game, but new players who kind of have to go along with it, they're not really like introduced to stuff smoothly.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of really good things about this game.
Yeah, no, like it is a very good game,
Okay.
and it's cool that it exists. I need to play more of it, but I've been playing another game that's been occupying my time. But this is a very good game, and if you find any of the mystery of this like alluring, and it's on sale, I would recommend it.
Yeah. How much is it? Do you know?
I got it for like a $5, and a $5 is fine.
Oh, that's a good price.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we move on to that alluring game, guys, I've been playing a new game called Street Fighter V.
Okay.
Oh, Niamh, I wish I could gifify the expression you made.
Here we fucking go.
So yeah, Evo just happened, and whenever Evo happens, there's a huge influx of new players to Street Fighter V. And so what I'll do is I'll hop on there with my low tier characters and push my win ratio into the positive, because I'm a piece of shit. And
Just the scraps for John.
just the scraps for John. And it's weird, because it's weird going back to Street Fighter V now, because at this point, like, we're getting pretty late in the generation, and just how janky some of those character models look is really becoming horrifically apparent. And that game still has a lot of jank, and there's still some really shitty things about that game. Every time I go in, there's like more and more stages added. It's at the point now where I think I can play on 1/3 of the stages in that game, because it only shipped with like 6 to 8 stages, and there's like 20 stages, and you have to buy them all. And I think that sucks.
It really sucks given how good Capcom has done with every other property but Street Fighter.
The guy, like the Capcom of Ori 2 remake, the Capcom of Monster Hunter Worlds, the Capcom of Devil May Cry, that's the Capcom I wanted to say take another swing at Street Fighter, because like there is so much, I feel like, just kind of bad decisions around this Street Fighter. I guess it's kind of more of a news story, but they announced 3 new characters: E.Honda, Poison, and Lucia. And I was really disappointed with Lucia. She's from Final Fight 3, I think. She might be in 2, but I don't remember. But she's a really cool character. She's like this cop girl, and like her character model is really kind of basic.
I've seen her side by side with Cammy and a couple of the other blonde girls in Street Fighter. They all have the same face.
Same face, same body, like pretty much.
Yeah, it's just a costume change.
It's just a costume change, and kind of sucks. And I think it's a shame because like the art in Street Fighter V is some of the weakest art the game has had for a while, which is difficult because when it's good, it's really good. Some of the animations in it are fantastic. Some of the supers in it are fantastic. Like some of the models are really good. When they updated Cammy, I think Cammy looks amazing now, and her animation is amazing. You know. But all that said, like getting back into this game, I really fucking love playing Street Fighter V. Like I got sucked back into it. I was like, you know, burning my dinners and playing too late and not getting to bed at the right time because I just play match after match after match. And I'm still playing with Colin. She's one of the new characters this time around. She was a background character in an intro animation in Street Fighter V, and she's playable in this, and I just love her play style, and I still really fucking love that game. But I think I would have played more Street Fighter V if it wasn't for something else that came out, something that we've all been playing, and that is Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
How many hours are you guys into this game?
35.
Jesus.
This is the game that I'm playing too late and burning my dinners over.
Yeah, I'm about 33 hours in. We might be around the same part.
Say so.
You're about 10 hours in, John?
Between 5 and 10, yeah.
Yeah. We all picked the same house.
Black Eagles.
Black Eagles.
I've seen some people say that they've noticed that like the Black Eagle players online are the like most shitty and dismissive to the other houses. And all I can say to that is if you were good enough to be in the fucking Black Eagles, you would be too.
Yeah, like
it's the best house.
Imagine being someone who picked like the golden cows or whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah, or like the blue seals.
Oh my god! Like, okay, I want to. Is it okay if I address the people who have picked those houses directly?
Go for it.
Okay, buddy, you deserve better. Like, why would you limit yourself like that? Why would you talk down to yourself like that and convince yourself that you belong in such a shitty community?
It's true.
That's all. I'm done.
Yeah. This is the new Fire Emblem game for the Switch.
Fire Emblem.
You are in a school called Garrick Mac, and you are a professor, and you could tell that they were looking at stuff like Harry Potter for a reference. And
so a lot of the shit I love about this game is stuff that I saw in the trailer and I was like, this looks lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of the trailers really sucked me in. I kind of thought it looked really dull.
I was going to pass on this game until people started reacting to it.
Yeah. I guess it's 50% a strategy RPG and the other 50% is a social management game.
And they're both really good.
They're super good.
So I guess things like Persona 5 and Danganronpa, where you're going around familiar environments over and over and you're interacting with characters, but you're just boosting those social stats day by day. And you're giving them gifts, you're finding out what they liked. You're kind of going, is this your last item? Is this your last item? This is your last item? Got a little heart.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to join my house? You need more magic? I'll work on it, buddy.
Where it kind of differs from, like, say, something like Persona 5 is Persona 5 is very based around every character's relationship to the protagonist, where I find a lot of the depth in the writing and the kind of interesting reveals in the character in Three Houses is their conversations with each other, is their, like, support and social links with each other. And, like, I really like that about it. I like seeing two characters I like interact and see what their relationship is. And then I like seeing how different their relationship is with another character. And just having them be fleshed out completely separate from me as the teacher. And it kind of makes you feel like a more tight-knit group nearly.
Yeah, no, they all really have their own agency. They're not in sleep mode when the main character is not around.
Yeah, like in Persona, when they talk to each other, they're nearly relaying the plot until they talk to you, and then you get the character kind of development because they're confiding in you. But that
is most of the cutscenes in Persona.
Yeah, but in this, they're confiding in each other, and it's like it's interesting to see them grow with each other and treat each other differently. You know,
that's one thing that I think the game does really really well is like the sense of growth with your characters. I really feel like I'm raising a bunch of stupid kids, and like when they pass an exam, I'm really proud of them.
And they become fucking warriors.
Yeah.
Like there are people on my team, and if they die, I rewind time and I make sure they, they're staying with me. There are people that I don't like. They are put to the side and they're not holding any items. They're not sent out on missions. But I have my core team, and they're very important to me.
Is everyone playing as female?
Yeah.
Dallas?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. I kind of figured when I saw you guys.
I really like the female design.
Yeah, I like her
she's cool.
tights.
Yeah.
I want a figure of her. She looks cool.
Yeah, same.
Before, when we kind of saw like previews of this, I was kind of a bit like, oh, the school thing's a bit skeevy, but the school thing works so well.
So well.
Like, so
holy
unbelievably
shit,
well.
yeah.
Like, so I guess we haven't explained what type of game this is. It's like tile-based...
Turn-based RPG.
Turn-based RPG. And
strategy RPG, where you're controlling an army.
And like with any of those, like say like Final Fantasy Tactics or Disgaea and stuff, you have classes and you max out a class. It makes perfect sense to attach that to an actual exam and a teaching and a schooling, because that's what it like. They're always learning, and it's the first time where I've just seen it being like they're in school and they're past their fighter exam and now they can move on to this exam. Like, it's just, it works so perfectly, and I can't believe it nearly hasn't been done like this already.
Yeah.
And like even the role of you as a teacher, you think it could be a little weird, but it never gets there. Like, you're very much a silent protagonist. You kind of take a back seat to a lot of the action, nearly.
What weapon have you guys gone with?
Weapon
for the main character?
Just the sword.
I'm a mage because I needed to get my magic up because there was a bunch of people I wanted. So I'm good with sword, spear, axe, magic. Not horse.
I'm all fisticuffs, baby.
Whoa.
Your protagonist, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They're amazing.
Yeah, I really like how customizable, because like I know in the 3DS Fire Emblems you were kind of really shoehorned into like this character can this character's only a mage. If you give them a sword, no matter what, they can't deal as much damage as a swordsmaster. But in this, like, you can customize any character in any direction you want.
And that kind of leads to interesting stuff as well. Like, the character writing in this is so deep and so more nuanced than I ever thought it would be. Like, one of the characters that I love is Lindhart. And at the start, he's like...
Sorry, who's Lindhart?
He's like
the sleepy guy with the green hair.
green hair boy.
Oh, the healer.
Yeah. And he's just like, you have your first battle and you bring all your class out in the battle, and for the first time they hit someone and the first time they get a kill, they all have a reaction to it, and it's just like, oh my god, I've killed someone, and like some of them scream and some of them freak out. That is not something I expected in a Fire Emblem game, and it's not really anything that's been there, because every other game you play, they're seasoned warriors and it's about the interpolitical, like, struggles or whatever. This has this, but it's also, these are children.
Yeah, it's playing up the idea that they're children, and awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And Lindhart comes to you at some stage and he was like, I don't like hurting people. Can I be a healer? And like, you can ignore him and be like, well, you're going to be my murder machine no matter what, and make him hate you. Or you can be like, okay, I'm going to put you on the healing path. And every time he goes into battle, he has a little voice line that goes, ugh, battle. And I just love it every time. And I just love that there's this nuance where they're actually considering what they're doing. It's really interesting.
I didn't enjoy the first couple of hours because I love Awakening so much, because I love the adventure that those characters go on as they travel across the lands. I find at the beginning you are just defending your school, where it's like, these bandits are coming, go out into the field and fight them, and you're not actually like traveling beyond the walls that much. But there is a point in the game where you do travel and you explore the entirety of the continent, because they keep hinting at the continent, but they don't go there.
I was pretty drawn in by the opening cutscene.
Same here.
I was like, oh, this feels a bit more raw than I'm used to with Fire Emblem. Because, like, I know you say that about Awakening, Brian. To be honest with you, with Awakening, if you asked me to explain the story of Awakening to you, I couldn't tell you a single thing. I could tell you about my adventures playing a shipping simulator,
Yes.
but I don't remember. I couldn't tell you who the bad guy of Awakening is. I can picture a girl who dresses in black and she has white hair.
There she is.
There she is.
This is kind of what I thought people were talking about when they would describe how much they love Awakening. I thought it was more like Tree Houses, because like there's so much more depth to the characters in Tree Houses.
I guess I kind of feel like this is the thing that I'm really impressed with, like what you're saying about like the depth of the story. I feel like that, but I feel like that with nearly kind of everything in Three Houses. Like I loved Awakening. I really loved Fire Emblem Awakening. I think that's a fantastic game. I got Conquest after that.
Yeah, that's more of the same.
And I played 5 missions and I was like, this is cool. This is Fire Emblem again. That's what this is. Like that's all this game is. And maybe it opens up more as you go on, but it was another Fire Emblem game. I feel like Three Houses is like an evolution of Fire Emblem. Like they have every part of this game they have taken to such a they've taken to so the next level that I'm just really impressed. And like I feel like a lot of the times on this podcast I get frustrated with games that I don't think push it far enough. Three Houses to me is like the nearly perfect example of a sequel where it's taking what you loved about the original games, putting a totally new spin on it, but also elevating it in some really great games. And like I I'm only between like 5 to 10 hours in, but to me this is like game of the year contender stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Totally,
This is going to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
Like I really want to re-answer that. What's your favorite Switch game so far this year? It's Three Houses.
I wish we'd said Smash.
I can't believe I thought about that. I was like, our fucking game of the year, and you two assholes didn't mention
Well,
it.
see, like, I guess I was thinking about single player games.
Yeah, me too. I don't really think of multiplayer games.
And like, if you want a single player game, this is it.
It's it's great. And like with Awakening, I really liked Awakening as well. But when it came to the kind of character relationships, it wasn't very deep. It was like,
let me tell you about Tarja and Long Q.
It's like, it's just like I can cook a carrot cake that really well. The bunny girl loves me because she loves carrots. That was it. We have carrots in common. In this, it's like how do you feel about the church's role in governance?
Okay. I really, really love the church stuff and how Irish it is. And yeah, that you were saying to me before that Garrig Mach is a mishmash of Irish and Scottish, where like Garrig could be Carrig, which is Oscuelga for rock.
I'm still very like early in the story, but I even think it's interesting now how very much it's like, he's an enemy of the church, so he's a bad person, and like it's not questioned at all, and that's really kind of cool.
Just this big, highly funded.
That's kind of how the church works.
Yeah, this big, highly funded education system that is fronted by the church really reminds you of something.
Well,
there's two churches at war, the central and the western.
Like we have a lot of American listeners. That's how the shit is in Ireland.
Yeah,
the church is all up in the schools.
The only way to get into a good school in Ireland is to be baptized.
Yeah,
it sucks.
One of my best friends growing up is he's Hindi. And we went to a very Catholic school because it was like one of the only good schools in our area. He was constantly the principal was constantly trying to convert him. Fire Emblem Three Houses, everybody.
Emblem.
Yeah.
But like even how Irish is, Two Heads Nanan is like, it's like the kind of Irish superheroes. Every place in Fire Emblem is named after them. Like Dagda is an island named in this. That's an Irish god. Brigid is an Irish god. The land we're in is like Fodlan. Fodla is a personification god of Ireland, with her sisters Eru and Banba, who are Ireland. It's all named after Irish places and Irish gods, and it's like, it's really interesting like to have all those there together.
The story really opens up after a couple chapters, and I was really impressed with how wild it gets all of a sudden. I was so up for it.
Knife.
Yeah, like it gets a bit berserk.
Okay.
Like
A Death Knight showed up in the last mission I was in.
he looks very familiar, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I love how extra he is.
yeah. I went, and
I'm
like,
not sure if that's a mask or if that's his face.
I went and I was like, okay, let's see if this guy. And then like I saw like the damage he was gonna do to me and the damage I was gonna do to him, and I go, okay, I guess I just don't go near him this mission. Oh, what are you guys playing on?
I'm playing on normal, but I have permadeath on, but I do use the rewind feature, and sometimes I'm challenged, but I'm also putting in the work, so sometimes I do just like crush the enemies, but it's because I put the time in at the start, I guess.
Same as Bryan, normal mode with permadeath. I only realized there was a rewind last night.
They don't really point it out to you very clearly.
No.
It's
Like at some point a character says in the narrative, oh, I can rewind time.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to hit that button by accident.
Yeah. I find as well if you use because that's left trigger to rewind time. If you use right trigger, that highlights the danger zone of the entire map. So that's a purple grid, so it just tells you like, stand here, you'll get hurt. But then if you use the left and right bumpers, it'll cycle through all the available characters you haven't used yet in your turn.
Yeah.
So I constantly have that instead of like hovering around the map. I don't know if you click in the right control stick, it'll reset the map.
I'm
Or
playing.
it'll reset the camera controls on the map.
I'm playing on hard and permadeath, and I'm finding that like there's the option to drop down from hard to normal, so I figure I'd just try hard, because I always remember my one problem with Awakening was I just found it like too easy, and especially by the end of the game I found I could just steamroll all the fights. And I do like the combat in Fire Emblem, and so far it hasn't been that difficult. It's provided, I'd say, like a healthy challenge. It is the kind of thing like if you fuck up and leave one character out in the open, they will die, but the rewind negates that a little bit.
Yeah, I usually move everyone as one giant brick.
And also I don't think you have the option to grind on hard, which I think is kind of interesting.
You kind of don't really have the option to grind generally, because you kind of get like, you can pick, at the end of each month you can pick to explore the monastery where you get a chance to kind of grow your relationships with characters, or you can pick a seminar where you can kind of level up your character and some other chosen students, or you can do a battle, but you get battle points, so you get like 2, and each one might like take 1, or there might be some that don't have a cost, but the further you go on, they all cost.
Yeah.
So you don't really get to grind as much, and
No,
if
you
you
don't.
do, you're kind of giving up your supports.
I don't really know what to do for the monastery sections.
With
Fishing.
The fishing is good. Usually with the monastery sections, I'll go around and talk to any of the other professors that have hourglass symbols.
Yeah.
Because at the start you only have like maybe 2 or 3 goes before it does the Fire Emblem jingle and you're and you're done for the day. I started ignoring all the side quests because they just give you apples.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a little love heart out of it, but I find I'm talking to the other professors to up maybe my sword skills and my strength and my charm or something like that, because that way when you talk to students that aren't in your house, you are more inclined to recruit them.
Yeah.
So I have about 75% of the students are in my house.
That's nuts. I haven't recruited anyone else. I've
I've
only recruited Shamir.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Who's
I love-
Shamir?
She's cool. You'll like Shamir.
What?
She's really she's a knight who doesn't believe in the church.
She's a
cool.
freelance knight, so she's not one of the students, but you can also recruit a lot
She
of
the
the
kind of
adults.
gothy one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the
I think
archer.
she just came into it, and
She hangs out in the markets. You should tell her what's up.
and there's another girl I like who's not in my house. She's like got short orange hair.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Chie. She's just
She's just Chie. Yeah. I'm
she's very good.
I kind of really like my house team. Like, I have Sylvian because he was like, hey, I'm joining your house. And I was just like, I guess I can't stop you, buddy.
Yeah.
So he's there. And, but like, I've been spending my time in the monastery cooking dinners to get my motivation up to teach my students, like, and planting stuff. But it's like, I don't really level myself up.
I'm
that
actually
much?
I'm leveling myself up all the time.
I'm just cooking for my kids. I'm just feeding them good dinner.
I was doing that, but then I was like, how do I get other people? And the only way to get other people to join your house is to
Yeah.
level yourself up,
I don't
so
want them.
so that you're more attractive to them.
Yeah, no,
to join.
there's I want that girl, and I want that beefcake dude as well.
Oh, the dude that's like busting out of his shirt.
Yeah.
He's great.
The only person I want is Felix and Mercedes. Everyone else.
They're so hard to get.
Yeah, I know they're the hardest.
Yeah,
I'm kind of
especially
like,
Mercedes.
I don't know if she's in it yet.
I got Felix, but Mercedes eludes me.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite characters? Who you liking?
I love Edelgard so much.
Edelgard's pretty good.
She does some cool shit later on, and I'm totally on board for her opinions.
I like the real shy girl. The
Bernadette.
Yeah,
Bernie.
she's pretty great.
I love
great.
Bernadette. She's like, I'm so afraid, and like on the field, she's like my most trusted
she's a
assassin. She's a
beast.
fucking beast. She
I love-
Do
kills
you have her with a bow
everyone.
and arrow, or
Yeah, she's
I-
like
I-
pure assassin.
I've got her going around on a horse, and she'll just go and fuck you up and then run away. I love Petra. She's a fucking tank. I love Dorothea.
Dorothea is my fave.
I have achieved S rank with Dorothea, but we can't confess our love to each other until after the war. So,
It's so hard.
so I guess that's the one thing I don't like about the game is that the romance options are stripped down to just between your player character and one other character, and that's it. That's the only S rank in the game. All the other characters can only become best friends with each other. There's no romance options for anyone else.
This is not a shipping simulator anymore.
No.
It's
A social simulator. There is a bit of, you are playing it a bit like a sociopath where you're manipulating people. You're like, I wonder what that person likes, and then you like pretend to like that stuff.
Maybe you two should go clean a horse.
I'm not playing it like that at all. But this is like why people don't like me.
But see, like-
aren't shining my house.
I really want more people in my house because I know that there's going to be a bit later on where all the houses are going to like fight each other. And if you've got them on your house, then you're stronger. Then you've got their best guys.
But it's more emotional to have to fight the characters you've been talking to all this time.
It gets emotional when they're like, I used to be part of that house, but now I
That's true.
gotta fight them.
That's really good.
I really like Hubert. He's such a freak.
Who's
what
he
the fuck
again?
is the goth?
Yeah, the goth guy. who
I
follows
love that guy.
Edelgard around.
I love that one
love
cutscene
him.
where he's like, "Hey, if I ever have to fucking kill you, I'm gonna."
So many people keep saying that to me.
What's
it's just
his
like
problem?
it's like I arrive at the school and they make me a teacher, and like no one really minds that I'm completely unqualified except Sethith, who's
Oh yeah,
everyone's
that
just
guy's
like,
such a dick.
yeah, fuck you, dude. And I was just like, well, he's right.
I really like how your adopted dad is like, I don't trust the church at all.
Yeah.
If you want to take this job, go ahead, but just don't get comfortable at all, ever.
We're probably gonna have a lot more to say about Fire Emblem in the coming year. So what say we stop it there for the moment?
Yeah.
Sure.
Unless anyone has any super critical guys. Who's your love interest?
Dorothea.
Dorothea,
Who's Dorothea?
the girl with the hat, but don't worry, she loses it later on.
I like her hat.
John, she's a big flirt. John,
Brian, there was another
John,
girl.
you're playing as female Belith. You won't be able to romance anyone other than her, Mercedes, or Rhea.
or Edelgard.
Up here, I will.
I don't think Edelgard you can romance if you go to Black Eagle. Someone told me that.
Oh, actually, do you know what? It would make sense narratively. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to.
I don't know. There was one other girl I walked up to, and she's like, "I could beat anyone, Professor, even you." And I was like, "Oh."
Okay,
But you can't
there's
get S rank with her.
there's an axe girl, but she's very hard to recruit to your house, and I don't know if she's interested in girls. She might only be interested in boys. But Dorothea, John, I showed you a photo of what she looks like later on,
Oh my god.
and you and that's why you said
Niamh, you say that, but you were literally like, "I guess I like Fire Emblem now."
I do. I love Fire Emblem, and I respect and love Dorothea.
who doesn't like an anime titty? I think that's the name of the episode.
Who doesn't like an anime titty? Quicktime Events. Oh, we're going late.
Yeah, that's grand.
Yeah, I guess so. But Niamh, why don't you take this first news item here that I present you right about now at the end of this sentence, if you wouldn't mind. Niamh,
SWERY's
my
The Good Life is delayed until spring 2020.
Oh no.
That's fine. Make it good.
Yeah, exactly. This was the Kickstarter game by SWERY. It was meant to come out at the end of this year. It's going to be coming out in spring 2020. His Kickstarter updates are amazing.
A Kickstarter game got delayed?
Le shock.
Oh my god. Dude, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like that's fine by me. Everything they've shown of it, like I'm really excited for it. So whatever, take as much time as you need to make it as good as you can.
Following the launch of other platforms, Obsidian's Outer Worlds will come to Switch. What I like about this story is everyone has the exact same reaction to it, which is like, sure.
Exactly, like, cool in
Okay.
theory. It's cool that you can make it run on that. Probably not the best way to play it.
It's
quaint.
that's fun.
It's like when you heard The Witcher 3 was coming to Switch. It was like, it's cool that you managed to do that, but why would you?
It
and
looks
like,
so bad.
yeah, it's just like, and I get if the Switch is your only platform, like, this is good news for you, but like, oh, these ports don't particularly play well, and if this is a game that you're super interested in, it might be better to invest in a console who can run it.
Now maybe because I've heard that like Doom runs surprisingly well on the Switch.
Yeah,
you
I've
know?
also heard Wolfenstein plays like shit.
And
Yeah,
I've seen Mortal Kombat
just
as well.
that there is a standard where like people can get like high end games running on it well. But again, it is the kind, and like, you know, if that was the case with something like Outer Worlds, that'd be great. But yeah, you kind of, I think you'd need a fucking crack optimization team to get that up to snuff. But yeah, you're kind of right. And you're like, why would you want to? When I don't need my Switch to be a portable PS4. I genuinely don't.
No.
Yeah. But oh boy, this next one. This is kind of a long one. There's a lot to this, but it's basically the controversy that's blown up around Ooblets going to Epic Game Store. And I guess right out the front of this, I think this whole story feels like this weird kind of like boiling point moment with an indie developer kind of caught in the center of it. Basically, this Ooblets, which is like, is it a husband and wife development team?
Yeah.
Oh.
2 people, and you know, very indie, and they recently announced that their game Ooblets, which is about dancing vegetables,
Yeah.
kind of Pokemon-y kind of game.
And it's got like a low poly art style.
Yeah,
It's like a
visuals look
little
really
life
cool.
simulator where you have like little veg.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it before this story, and I hope this story ends up being like at least publicity for them, that they sell a decent amount. But they signed an exclusivity deal with Epic Game Store, and I guess they tried to get out in front of it by releasing their own statement as to why. And I want to take this story in sections because I don't want to lump, I guess, my reaction to their announcement in with the reaction of like the broader gaming audience that would follow. But I guess taking the announcement by itself, I did read it and I did think it was like condescending to a point that people were going to get really pissed off. And it's unfortunate because I also thought if you take like the second quarter of their statements, just their reasons for going on the Epic Game Store, it was so reasonable and so just, yep, that's a really good reason why an indie developer would go on the Epic Game Store. Like, who could blame them? They were going to get like a guaranteed amount of minimum sales, so that no matter what, just by releasing the game, they were going to be able to pay their rents. They weren't going to have to move back in with their parents. It made sense for them financially. I think you have to be some kind of fucking asshole to fault them for that. But then I guess the problem is they tried to be very cute with their announcement as well, and they kind of said that they have faith in people's ability to download a free thing and click it, and that like there's other things in the world getting kind of worth getting worked up about. And with that, it's like when you look at the vitriol that surrounds this Epic stuff, that was a bad fucking idea, and it did blow up on them really, really badly. I think to a level that is absolutely absurd. I guess before we get into that though, I did a bit of reading up on like the Epic situation and like people's main concerns over the Epic stores, because I know none of us really play games on PC all that often. I'll play the odd game on Steam, and so I didn't really understand why people were upset about the Epic store. There's a lot of bullshit, like the Chinese conspiracy stuff. They're still like, oh, Epic are selling your data. They probably are, but so is every other service. Like, that's not
new. You're on the internet.
Definitely, like, you ever use Messenger? Like, you use Twitter? Like, your shit's getting sold. The stuff that did make sense to me was, first of all, like, you know, Epic Store isn't available in a bunch of currencies. Which means that like there's a lot of countries, and especially third world countries, that just do not have access to the Epic Store. There's workarounds where you can get like a foreign version of Epic, but that means converting, which means more cost. So basically the poorest countries in the world have to pay the most money for games. That's fair enough. I think that's a really legitimate beef people have with the Epic Store. The other part of it, and this is a part that I that really does rub me the wrong way, and I will admit it's nearly on more kind of maybe a sentimental level than a practical one, but the Epic Games Store is so less feature rich than Steam. It can't support like mods. It can't support. There's like the friend list stuff is fucked. You can't do like screen and screen, which is like that's how I play Epic Battle. That's how I play Epic Battle Simulator with my cousin. All this kind of stuff. It is missing all those features, and what bothers me about that is that Epic are paying developers to provide a worse experience for their games. That's not going to be an issue in time when Epic do catch up. I just wish they had those features implemented. And I think if they did, you would be seeing less situations around the one now, because they are paying money to give consumers a worse experience. And so I can understand why people are pissed off. Now, that said, the whole Ooblets thing has blown up to such a ridiculous degree that, like, you know, people who I really don't think ever gave a shit about Ooblets are now just harassing these people. And this isn't like a publisher. These aren't people with PR. These aren't people, very obviously, without a social media manager. They're getting like ripped apart, and they're just two people. And I have to imagine that's really frightening, and that's really awful. And
did you read their Medium article about it?
I haven't, no.
It's about just the toll that like all these death threats have taken about it.
I can't even imagine.
Onto them, and just like just racist, homophobic, like misogynist language and death threats just being thrown at them all the time. And it's just like there is a good few reasons why Epic is a less good experience than Steam. Is it so less good that, like, I don't think this is people, hey, we can't buy it in our currency, because it's not that. It's people using that as like kind of as a stone.
Well, I have no doubt that like there's people out there legitimately annoyed, and I think they have reason to, but I really don't think that's the fucking hate mob that's formed around these people.
No, but that's the problem with all of this, is like I feel like the hate mob is using these real not even concerns, issues with a product, you know, to justify like this level of harassment and vitriol. And as you said, you never heard of Ooblets or Ooblets before this. Ooblets, when they released their kind of statement about going Epic exclusive, a lot of people who didn't know them read it as condescending. A lot of people who've been following them for years, give to their Patreon, read it in their tongue-in-cheek tone that they've always used. So for a lot of people, it was fine. But then for the people that it was going to piss off, it was pouring petrol on a fire kind of thing.
That makes sense if they've always had this tone, because like you sent us that press release, not the press, just their like and like again, I completely agree with their reasons for going on Epic Store. If I was developing an indie game, I'd do the same fucking thing in a heartbeat. I'm guaranteed not to lose money. Are you fucking? Of course.
As an indie dev,
yeah. Putting an indie game on Steam is the biggest risk ever now.
Yeah.
Like it's itch.io or Epic or something like. Something more.
Like look at what happened with Full Metal Furies. Do you know Full Metal Furies?
Nope.
Okay, fucking exactly. Rogue Legacy was a really popular indie game that came out much earlier in this generation. It was one of the PlayStation Plus games, Bryan.
Oh yeah.
It's like a roguelike night game, very successful, a lot of people's game of the year list. Its sequel, Full Metal Furies, came out, died. No one even knew about it. It's not like it reviewed badly and didn't sell. It didn't even review badly. It didn't get that far. And so, you know, in a situation like Ooblets, these people have the Epic Store as like backup to that. That makes more sense to me if they've always had this kind of like cheeky tone, and maybe they just never thought that announcement was going to become as widespread as it did.
I think they thought they were talking to their audience.
That makes a lot of sense, because I definitely read it and being like, oh, what the fuck are they doing? Like, this is going to be so bad. But and it was, but I think like there is a certain amount of like you have to be careful with public statements. I do feel like Epic have kind of fostered this environment a little bit for some of their indie developers, and it's cool for them to come out after the fact and be like, we don't support this, but like they know what they're doing and they know that they're inciting people like this. And you know, if even just they had waited to have their store up to parity with Steam, this shit wouldn't be as much of an issue.
People will find another reason, though. I don't think it's about these features being missing. Like, people being like, it doesn't have a cart. Like, is that really the reason to send a death threat to someone? I don't think so. I think
just to be clear, there's no reason to send a death threat to someone. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a cart or if it's a mod set or anything.
I think there's people who've aligned themselves with a community and an identity that is Steam, and they will hate Epic no matter how good Epic gets. They just have a lot of reasons.
You see,
now.
I'm not sure. Like, looking at that now, yes. If you go back to like the Epic store started, and if Epic provided a parallel customer service with Steam, you take the teeth out a lot of the initial rage, and I don't think it would have bubbled into what it has become.
But like, it's like some of the things is like, it doesn't offer user reviews. Maybe they don't want user reviews because user reviews are bad and you can review bomb games. Like, you know, like
maybe I don't think that's what Epic Store is going for, because they do have, I do think they have user reviews on their like Trello, like their development map and stuff like that. So it is just like a feature absent store.
I just think this is going to be here even when they get all these features up to parity. I think this is going to be a versus thing consistently.
I agree with you. My point is that it didn't need to be.
Who knows? We're here now.
Yeah. But so yeah, like it sucks. Like it's one thing to hammer on like a giant company like an EA or an Ubisoft. It's such a fucking different thing when it's people. And this is always the shit that scared me about like modern day celebrities. Like that filter between the public and the person, it's not there. And no one realizes that. Like there's such a difference between telling Taylor Swift to fuck off and telling like someone who legitimately has no support network, no people around them to fuck off. Like it's a different act, you know what I mean? And I think this is a really shitty story. You know, it's not a shitty story. There was a bunch of shit announced at Evo this year.
Evo 2019.
You guys watched that Guilty Gear trailer?
I sure did.
Oh my fucking god!
This doesn't look like a patched sequel. This looks like a full.
No, this is a different art style.
Yeah, with like stage hazards and stage jumping.
Oh my god! I could not believe it.
And way more rotations, and the statement from Daisuke where he's like, "This is a new game from the ground up."
Did you see his thing where he's like, "This is an all-out attack on the spirit of fighting games"?
Yeah.
Niamh, have you ever played a Guilty Gear?
Yes, on PlayStation 2 or 360. Like I think it was X.
I think that I think maybe a DLC version of that release, or a down. Did you watch this trailer?
Yes.
Did it make you feel anything?
I like the aesthetic. I will never play it. I'm not a fighting game guy.
I was hype.
Oh, I think me and Bryan are all in.
Oh, of course. I know I'm going to have to argue against this for Game of the Year at some stage.
Yep.
It's cool with me. Looks better than Street Fighter 5.
That's not hard.
Yeah, it's not. I'm so glad Guilty Gear still exists and is. I love Arc System Works. I love what they do.
Yeah, I wish I was better at their games. I have never really clicked, except maybe Dragon Ball Fighters, but I've never really clicked with an Arc System Works fighter. As much as I love Guilty Gear, I know I suck at it.
I was really good at Dragon Ball Fighters for the first week, and then everyone got better than me.
Oh, that's just fighting games. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. I love Guilty Gear. I beat a guy in Japan in Guilty Gear, and like I looked over the cabinet at him and smiled at him, and he was fucking pissed.
Oh, that's such a good feeling.
Take that, salary man.
Take that, salary man.
Salary man.
But this trailer's amazing. The new character they showed, oh my fucking god, he looked so cool.
I love his mask.
Yeah.
I want to see more. I just keep doing what you do.
Keep it coming. Yep. Daisuke, that's a real character.
Yeah.
E.Honda, Poison, and Lucia announced for Street Fighter 5. I kind of already talked about this stuff. I think Lucia could have looked a lot cooler. Honda looks amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he wasn't already in the game.
No, he's the last of the World Warriors.
Wow.
Yep.
Poison. I don't like her tight. The one tight that she has on.
I don't like Lucia's tights.
Yeah. What's
going on?
Fix your legs. What's going on?
I think the character designs across the board have been pretty like inconsistent with Street Fighter.
They look very
5.
doughy.
Some of them look great, some of them do not. Like Honda looks awesome. He's got like the finger tape and he looks deadly.
Yeah. And he's fat guy ripped, like just to the right amount.
Totally. But Poison looks alright, but yeah,
I've seen better 3D Poisons in the last 10 years.
I'm not gonna argue with that. Totally. I think the Street Fighter 4 character model is kind of cooler.
Yeah, it's more iconic. This is like, okay, I guess that's a different outfit for Poison.
Yeah.
She has better outfits.
New character for Tekken 7, Leroy Smith. Niamh, did you watch the trailer for Leroy Smith?
I did.
What'd you think?
He looks cool.
He looks fucking so cool, doesn't he?
This is a Tekken-ass Tekken character.
This is okay. So I think Tekken 5 has maybe the best like 3 new characters out of like the best new characters of one of the best rosters of new characters fighting games, where you have Fang, you have Asuka or Asuka, I can never remember which it is, and you have Raven. All totally different, all amazing fighting styles. Tekken 6 and 7 have some of the lamest new characters ever. I thought they really sucked, and just they don't.
But Lucky Chloe.
I thought they really sucked, and they just don't have that like Tekken attitude that I think is so cool. This fucking guy absolutely does. He's this dude who grew up in like the mean streets of New York, and his family died, so he went and trained at a Shaolin dojo. And have you seen like the full body character art of him?
No.
It genuinely looks like he's about to kick the shit out of you, but like in a really just quiet, confident way. I'm going to jump back into Tekken 7 as soon as this guy's out.
I like that the Zafina is back as well. She's kind of fun.
And I like what they did with her as well, because she used to be the guardian of Azazel, the last boss of Tekken 7, and now her right arm is like possessed by Azazel, and I think that's pretty dope. That's pretty cool. And finally, Bryan,
Yeah.
what do you think of this next item?
The ESA leak.
Uh-huh.
I don't know anything about it really, except that it's journalists who were at E3 this year, their personal details were leaked.
There was basically a spreadsheet on the E3 website that had like their contact information, their home addresses. Well, when they say home address, basically you needed an address to register for E3.
Yeah.
So if you work in a GameSpot or an IGN or a Giant Bomb, it's going to be that building. If you are more independent, like say like a YouTuber, you're gonna
Or just a freelancer for those websites.
You're gonna put your home address down.
And this is just applying for a press kit pass.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
And so your home address will be leaked to the public.
That's not good.
It's very not good.
No, that's your personal safety at risk.
Like we've talked about E3 before, and like, you know, a couple of times we've been like, yeah, it'd be cool if we could go to E3 sometimes. If we had gone to this E3, our home addresses would be out there. Like my apartment would be out there. And that's
It's so scary.
Yeah,
There's
it's
been a
horrifying.
lot of like just game journalists being like this is so upsetting. We're talking about moving home because there's people who've been getting death threats before, because you know what fucking some gamers are like.
Yeah, they get very overprotective over their games.
Now their information is all out there. Their number is out there. And it was like, this was a link that was on the website that wasn't actively on it, but if you had the link, you could download this spreadsheet.
And once it's downloaded once, it's out there.
Yeah, totally.
I know with this is E3 because I watched the Danny O'Dwyer video about E3, but like way more focused on individuals going to E3, whereas like the journalists aren't even at the convention, and it's more about vloggers, YouTubers, small press, one person kind of units going about.
Yeah, apparently there's a class action lawsuit in the works, and as well like there's different regulatory bodies that will fine E3 for this, and some of the fines are like in the millions. And
like E3's in a weird place where it's like you don't know what it's going to be this year, what it's going to be next year, what it's going to be in a year or two, and this is going to influence that, I guess.
Yeah, it's really fucked up. And there's not really much to say more about it than that. But it's okay, because we got some email.
All right. We got an email. Address.
Yeah. So an email is this kind of thing where basically it's like you want to send a letter, but you want to be environmentally conscious about it. So you want to take that paper letter and make it like electronic.
So you're like cramming it into like a digital hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less. But it's really easy, as in like easy mail.
Like it's a lubed up digital hole.
Oh, wow.
I don't know I can do this anymore.
Do you think it makes that like that dial-up noise as it enters?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I make that noise for my own body.
There's a lot of language and concepts being thrown around here that I'm really...
That's it in the web now. That's it shooting through those pipes.
John's making a face, and it's just for me and Niamh to see.
So what shot through, John?
Release it. Release it upon our eyes. Expose.
Do you know, there's times in this podcast that you two genuinely horrify me in ways that I'm so uncomfortable with.
Go on, jizz it out.
Just out a good one.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you two fucking... If we worked somewhere, like, this shit wouldn't fly. Like, I'd be straight to fucking HR about it. Well, like, I wouldn't.
I am the HR department.
I'm not, yeah, it was the worst fucking decision in this
I'd be
podcast.
like, geez, sugar tits, calm down.
You can, for whatever reason you'd want to, you can reach us at askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
That's it. Ask let's fight a boss at gmail.com.
No, that's... Oh my god, why? What?
Because
Oh.
it's so funny.
Bryan, why don't you take this first email? Say
Okay.
from Max.
From our main man Max, or main gal,
Or main gal.
or
Who knows what.
our main person.
Our main person.
Because you know what, you and everyone, you are people.
Hey, whatever you fucking got going on, don't even worry about it. We don't give a shit. It's fine.
You're beautiful.
Absolutely. I have no doubt about that.
And speaking of beauty, here's Max. When I was young, around 6 or 7, I had a dream where a newspaper in my house grew a face and ate me. Have you had any bizarre dreams that stuck with you?
I feel like at some point the weird dreams we've had must have come up, right?
Oh, I'm sure it has. But let's expand our minds just a little bit further, John.
Okay.
Into the realm of dreams.
I've talked about like the sleep paralysis dream with the old woman crawling on the bed, haven't I?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Have I talked about the one with the ventriloquist dummy?
Go for it.
Okay. I had a dream. I think I was like maybe 12 or 13, right? And it was kind of like a movie, and it was about this medieval village that was like haunted by this ventriloquist dummy. And it was really violent, and it would like run out and just drag children off into the forest, and it really like a disturbing dream. But one night the village has this big festival, and they're trying to coax the dummy out. And so what they end up doing is like they end up taking it and like becoming friends with it, and they end up dressing it up, and like the dummy's like, oh, this is really cool, and the dummy gets like all these like dresses and stuff, and the dummy puts on like these fake nails and like just has a great time, and this little boy befriends the dummy. But when one day the dummy disappears, and the boy goes off to find it, and out in the middle of the forest it finds this tower, and he climbs all the way up. But from the moment he enters the tower, the whole dream was in first person.
I love when that happens.
So you're the boy.
At this point in the dream, yeah, but like not before this. And so it felt like climbing this tower forever, and then I get to the top, and I can see like dress, but I can't really see if the dummy's in it or not. And you're getting closer and closer and closer until like you're pretty much as close as you can get. And next thing, the dummy turns around and it rams its nails into your eyes. And I woke up, and I have never been so frightened in my entire life. I was like 12, and I ran into my parents being like, Mom, Dad, I have to lie on the floor here because I can't go to sleep by myself. And it really fucked me up for a long time.
Nice.
What you guys got?
I would go through phases of being able to lucid dream, but I guess there were phases where I couldn't, and so I had no control over like recurring dreams where I'm a kid, so I'm like 7 or 8 when this happens, but I get in a car, like my parents' car, and I'm like, I'm gonna start this car and drive. And so you drive the car and you drive it out to like some place in Ireland you've never been to, and then all of a sudden you click back into a bit of reality in a dream where you're like, I'm a kid, I don't know how to drive, and now I'm stuck. And they were really upsetting dreams.
Because I always have like monkey paw lucid dreams where like I'll always be like, I'll realize it's happening and I'll wish for something and I get a really fucked up version of what I wish for.
Nice. The other ones were like just after Jurassic Park, where I was having lots and lots of dinosaur dreams. And I've told you about the dreams where I could turn into a dinosaur. The first one of when I turned into a dinosaur it was me going into school as normal, and it didn't feel like a dream at all. It felt like I'd woken up and I'd gone to school for the day. But in my head I was like, I could be a dinosaur if I wanted to. And I told the boy next to me, Sam, that I could be a dinosaur, and he was like, no, you can't. And I was like, I can. And then he was like, Bryan here thinks he could be a dinosaur, and all the other boys came around to me and they were like, go on, be a dinosaur. So I was like, and I turned into a velociraptor, and I ran around, and everyone was screaming, and they were like back up against the walls because there was a velociraptor in the classroom. And I was like, this is class. And so from then on, I kind of trained myself to transform into different dinosaurs. And that was cool.
I love dreams like that. I've had a lot of dreams when I was a kid, and I wake up and I'm like, oh, my shitty life.
Yeah. Oh.
I still have dreams sometimes like that.
They're not dreams, John. Niamh, tell us about your life and the mind.
I've only ever had nightmares.
Really?
You never had a dream?
Yeah.
That's because you're full of sin, Niamh.
Probably. It's been like consistently horrible forever. I used to really fear going to sleep as a child, and I used to sleep for only about 3 hours and have to take sleeping tablets a lot of the time. They're just not great. They're not ideal. And it's one of those things where I'm always aware that I'm dreaming, but I can't leave the dream. So one I would dream of regularly is there's this house, and it's my house, but it's like more rural, and all around it is farmland, but it's all wet and it's all just completely sodden, and I'm wading through it by the waist, and I'm walking through it, and every step I take, a dead corpse of a sheep bubbles up, and its white milky eye kind of turns back and looks at me, and I make my way to the front door. And it's my house, but all the rooms are kind of different. And I open one of the doors, and I've gone through all of this house. I dream about this house all the time, like maybe once a week since I've been a child, consistently.
Oh my God.
So I know all the rooms, but in one of the rooms, in the front room, because this is the less fucked, I guess, version, in this room, it's like, do you ever read His Dark Materials?
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah.
You know Miss Coulter and her golden monkey?
Sure do.
It's a woman standing there with her back to me, and there's a little golden monkey sitting on a table, and I'm looking at this monkey, and the monkey has a fish bowl in front of it, like a circular fish bowl, and there's a fish in it, and I watch the monkey take the fish out with his little monkey hands, and I'm like, my first thought is like, look how gentle he's being with the fish. But then he puts it back in the bowl, and the water of the bowl just instantly turns red, and I notice that he's put push pins all through the fish, so the fish is just dead with like pins through it. And then I leave through a back door, and I walk around, and later on I find this in the sodden field with all the dead sheep. There's a little wooden box, and I pick it up, and every time I open it, it's the golden monkey, but it's now all wet and dead, and it's curled around the fish. So I had that dream consistently for a while.
And you've never had like a nice dream?
No, never. The nicest dream I had, I was skydiving with Bugs Bunny, and he gave me an anvil, and I died.
Take this anvil.
Yeah, and I was like, cool. Oh.
What about like attractive people dreams, where you see a movie and you're like, that person's attractive, and then your dreams?
Never.
Fuck. I've had some really nice dreams.
Do you not have dreams where you're like you're eating sweets or playing video games and having a good time?
I had a dream recently where my parents are building a wall brick by brick in the garden while it's raining, and every time they put a brick up, the wall crumbles and they age, and I'm trying to get them to come inside because they're dying, and they won't come inside. They have to build a wall, and my dog is just running around in circles. She's a sighthound, so she runs really fast, and I can't get anyone to come in, so they're just dying very slowly in front of me. So no, I've never had a nice dream. Good question.
Are me and Bryan ever in your like horrible nightmares?
I think so, yeah. I've had you guys in it before. Like, they're all just weird. Like, Rebecca pukes up maggots in some dreams, and then they start expanding into seals, and she has to club them to death with a shoe.
Oh my fucking god!
I'm full of trauma.
Literally, the last dream, yeah. The last dream I had was really like weird and peaceful and comforting. I was in my parents' house, and I went back out went out into the back garden, and my old dog and my old cat were both out there, and they were both really happy to see me. And I sat down, and it was like a really like kind of weirdly physical dream where I could really feel them, because like I'd petted them so many times. I know exactly what, and it was like they were there. And
That's
it was
nice.
like really, it was really nice. But there was one part of the dream where I was like, oh shit, am I dead? But other than that, it was really cool. Niamh, why don't you take this next one?
I don't have this document.
Amar.
From Amar.
I kind of missed out on a lot of games from the last generation since I didn't have a PS3 or a powerful enough PC, and I wanted to ask you, what are your favorite games from the PS3 era that I should experience in your opinion? Good question, Amar. And also the 360 existed. And
Yeah.
it's a very good console.
To a lesser extent the Wii, but we're not going to talk about that.
But he might have included those. I cut some.
Okay, yeah. From that generation. Okay, well then let's have a little bit of the Wii. Okay.
I think anything from that generation is good to go.
Okay, I guess a lot of those games have been ported again, like the BioShock games, Naughty Dog games
Do
are
you
all
guys think you
ported.
need to play the BioShock games?
No.
I don't love them as much as everyone else seems to love them.
But I think a lot of people loved them at the time. It's very rare I hear people talk about them now.
No.
Oh, I think they're really such a, like, still, like, I'm going to write about games game. Like, I see it crop up a lot.
Yeah.
I think BioShock 1 had precisely one really good moment, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Dead
So there you go, Omar. Not BioShock.
I was going to say the Dead Space trilogy. That never got ported to the new generation. It's stuck on 360 and PS3.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Because those were such a big deal.
Yeah, and it was just so cool to see a Western developer look at the Resident Evil 4, like Resi 4 and Resi 5, and going, okay, this is how you could do a survival horror. Let's do that, but in space, and let's look at Event Horizon. And say what you will about the third one, but I think the first and second games are incredibly strong.
Yeah. I'd really strongly push for the original Dead Rising, just the first one. That game is awkward and janky, but if you are willing to learn its strange ways, it is one of my favorite games of all time. It's so fucking good. Just a really interesting, like, kind of intimate open world experience with a lot of really cool time mechanics. The save system isn't broken. The save system works just as it should work. No More Heroes 1 especially, 2 if you enjoy 1, but No More Heroes 1 is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really love that game.
It's on the Wii, and there's also a very rare, hard to find PS3 version.
And Deadly Premonition as well, because you should just experience whatever the fuck that thing is.
Is the original Nier only on last gen?
Yeah, it's PlayStation 3 and 360.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Original
Yes.
Nier is great, yeah.
God, that was a strong generation.
Yeah, it really was. There's some great games. Like, Sleeping Dogs has been ported, obviously.
Yeah, it got ported.
The Mass Effect trilogy is amazing.
Yep.
I love Dragon Age Origins and 2. They're really good games. If you're going 360, like Halo Reach and Halo 3 are great Halos. Man, it's so, like, I really want them to port Final Fantasy 13 because I really want to play that again and see how it holds up.
I'd be really interested to hear what you think of it again.
Yeah, that game's out almost 10 years now.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't got the HD treatment.
Did it come out?
That was out when we were in 4th year.
Yeah, it came out in 2010 it came out September 2010, I think.
I'd say next year it'll get a port.
You'd feel like it should.
Yeah, especially with the way they're going with things.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
8 got a port.
Yeah. If they could find 8, they could find 13.
But yeah, I think like Deadly Premonition is pretty high up on my list, and like Dragon Age.
There's a couple of like...
I say that as someone who doesn't like Deadly Premonition that much, but it's just a fascinating game.
Yeah,
people
it's just
should
weird.
play.
Yeah.
There are a couple of Wii games that are kind of stuck on the Wii because of how tied with the motion controls they are. Like, I think No More Heroes got lucky. It got out of there. Like, I really like the Mario Galaxy games, but it's the only way you can play them is with the fucking Wiimote.
A lot of people don't like Silent Hill Shattered Memories for the Wii, and I think maybe that got onto PS3 at some point. I know it got onto the PSP or Vita.
Yeah.
But Shattered Memories, like, it's not a great Silent Hill game. It's a great survival horror game. Like, I really, really like that game. And no one's played it, and people should.
It's weird to know how things hold up. Like, I really like Condemned at the time.
Yeah.
Like, would that hold up now? I don't really know.
Condemned was like a launch title for the 360, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's really old. Wow. That's like 2005.
I've always wanted to play that.
It's, as I said, at the time I thought it was really good, but I don't know if I would think the same thing now.
The original Arkham Asylum I thought was great.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
No idea how that holds up.
I'm sure it's a pretty good Metroidvania.
Yeah. Let me see. Is there anything else?
Because like it's really hard to think of a game where you're like that game, but then you're like, oh no, wait, it's actually on new consoles now.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of games out there that just got lost, never got ported, and by now they would have, or maybe they're about to. But like you kind of want them to have already been there.
I think off the top of my head, that's all what I can think of.
Yeah.
I like Shadow of the Damned. It's silly and it's
Yeah,
dumb, but
no,
it's
Yeah.
fun. You know.
Even like Lollipop Chainsaw, not a great game, super interesting. Just
Metal Gear Rising.
oh god, yeah, absolutely. Oh, Azora's Wrath,
Yeah.
love Azora's Wrath.
Metal
6
Gear,
hours, 10 out of 10 the whole way.
Metal Gear Solid 4. That game is stuck on the PS3.
Yeah, that's,
It can't not work without the PS3.
that's Amir. That should do you plenty. Enjoy, buddy. Okay, and we have this last one from an anonymous fan, and this is a two-parter, and I think this is really interesting. My question is, as a trio of wonderfully creative people, why thank you.
Thanks.
Have you ever been in a situation where your passion did not line up with your natural gift? Furthermore, have you ever felt inadequate about your work, and how do you cope with this feeling? We'll take that first question first. So just about like your passion not lining up with your natural gift. I think with a lot of this stuff, it's important, like whether you're naturally talented at something or not, to find enjoyment in it. And I think like if you can do that, you'll eventually get good at something. Like I always try and warn people to be careful about liking doing something versus liking the idea of being good at something, because like, you know, a lot of people ask me about like, you know, being a YouTuber and stuff like that, and like what I always say is like cons, like public appearances, being well known, it's like less than 1% of the job. The whole job is making videos, and if you don't like making videos, you should not do something like this. So yeah, I think it's really important to pay attention to like the process and what process makes you happy, as opposed to like if it's something you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're late into this podcast. I might be kind of rambly and nonsensical.
I
That's
find
okay.
like sometimes it's not even my ability that stops me, but stuff like space. Like I have an airbrush and I like making Gunpla, and I want to get to the next stage where I get to airbrush my Gunpla, because I like a Gunpla is like Gundams that you make, but I don't have the space or the resources to do the airbrushing and get to that point. So I feel like there's always this like stopgap where I have all the stuff I need and I have all the desire to do it, but I don't have the actual room to do these things, and that gets really frustrating, because then it's just like, do I really want to do it even, you know? But I don't think I've ran up to a place where like I had a hard limit with my talent, because I think I'm a very aware of what I can do. Like for the example, making music sounds great, but I know I could never do that, you know, so I wouldn't even attempt it. So it's more other things that stop me, like finances and space, just room, like physical room to do things.
What do you think, Bryan?
Yeah, I think like if you're making a short film or something, you're already like, okay, well, there's a bunch of stuff I can't do because I just don't know how to do it. I don't know crazy CGI visual effects. I don't know 100 people to be in a movie. All of a sudden, you have these rules that you've given yourself, and you have to work within them. And so you have to redirect whatever passion you have into something a bit more realistic. I think that is kind of like, you know how you always have like the bigger dream, but then you have to pull it back into what's actually feasible within.
Especially like on an individual project basis.
Yeah. Sometimes you do hit a wall where you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to get to this part, and it's then a case that you're going to have to collaborate with someone else or a group of people. That could be its own challenge itself, especially if you're used to working alone. All of a sudden you have to reach out to others and you have to work with their schedules, what their input is. Your baby isn't your baby anymore, but that's part of it. Depends on what you're going for. Like sometimes they're like, they're off for whatever you're doing because it's your project. They're just helping out with their tiny bit, but it's just you can't do that bit because you're not a specialist in it.
Yeah, I think it's good to be like really practical on an individual project basis, but like if there is somewhere you really want to get and you enjoy doing it, I don't think you should ever let anything stop you either, like in the long term, you know what I mean?
I think it's good to be realistic about the things that you could have access to, though, you know?
Well, that's why I say like the long term, where it's like you could eventually have the situation, whatever's stopping you, and like you shouldn't let the idea that you might not limit you, I guess.
Like what strengths do you have, and what do you enjoy training up in?
Yeah.
Because that can be your investment in the long run.
Yeah, totally. Like it might not be possible now, but like you don't know in like 2, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Yeah. What do you guys think of this second part? Furthermore, if you have you ever felt inadequate about your work, and if so, how do you cope with this feeling?
I think that's a fairly normal feeling. Everyone gets that.
Yeah, as a creative, if you don't feel inadequate, I don't know if you're creative. Like, I haven't met a creative person who thinks they couldn't have done something better, or they don't think something's up to par, They might love one thing they've done, but they're like, but the next thing,
Yeah. I find like I learn to love past projects in hindsight.
Yeah.
But anything I'm currently working on, I can only see it as like the worst thing I've ever done.
I think there's a lot of stress kind of now as well to kind of try and monetize and try like your hobbies and kind of stuff that you might be into and kind of the reason why you might be doing something. So it's just like, am I inadequate when it comes to, say, making this shitty miniature? Am I inadequate if it's me showing it online? Maybe yes, but as kind of something just to have fun at home, am I inadequate? No, because it was the act of making it, and even if it doesn't look great, it's trying to find this line, I think, with like, because like as artists, you want to show people what you do,
yeah, but
you also want to have fun with it. And
it's totally.
Like where's the cutoff? Where do I stop caring about what it looks like to another person if I had fun with the process? And that's a really hard thing to even just think about or come to terms with. It's just like, I don't know why I'm doing stuff sometimes. Like, am I doing it for me at all? Was this ever for me? Yeah,
I do find with a lot of big projects, you really hit a crisis point like that, where you're like, why did I think this was a good idea?
Yeah, this wasn't worth it at all.
Yeah.
And I'm too deep now, and it's just going to be this weird compromise thing that I'd want to walk away from so fast.
Yeah.
As soon as it's delivered.
Yeah. Like, I'm working on a thing right now, and this is something I've been at for kind of weeks at this point, and I feel like I'm kind of at that point where like maybe 5 days ago I was like, this isn't happening, like this just isn't going to work, and now it's getting to the point where it looks like it'll probably be okay, but it can be kind of that period of doubt where you're like, was this ever a good idea? Am I doing this for me, or am I doing this for another reason? I think that's always going to happen in a project that's important to you. And in a way, I feel like if something's really worth making, if it's kind of very different to what you've done before, and if it is difficult, that self-doubt is inevitable. Like, you're not going to avoid it. Because if you do, maybe that's the point, you're being too safe with stuff as well, creatively.
Then it's like, do you always need to push yourself? Can you just have fun with things?
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. You can, like, argue it either way, back and forth. You can be like, why? Like, the question of why is just so strong when you try and create anything.
I think it's good to find that balance, to be like, I'm just going to do this thing that I know I can do, and it's going to be easy, and then next time I'm going to try and push the boat out a little bit. But sometimes you think shit that's going to be easy is fucking impossible, and sometimes you think stuff that you could never do turns out to be way easier than you thought as well. So yeah, I think, like, doubt is just part of the creative process, and I think, like, what Niamh said is 100% right. I think if you don't doubt that stuff, that's probably a decent sign you're not a creative,
How you deal with it, feel it and do it anyway.
I feel like I'm still very much figuring that part out.
Yeah, it's like, just do it anyway, even if it means I'm doing it to move on, or I'm doing it to close the chapter on this, whatever this is. Or I'm doing it because I feel satisfied. I don't know. It doesn't matter what the reason is. Just, yourself as a creative person, you need to do it in some degree. So
totally
find that and do it.
And, like, if a project goes as bad as it could possibly go, by seeing it through to the end, I feel like you're kind of leveling up something else, like, completely outside the skill set, which is just the ability to get something done and move on. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a hard skill that a lot of creative people struggle with.
That's actually a good thing that I used to use, is I kind of took every drawing or everything I did or everything I made as, like, on an experience bar. And nothing is lost time, because everything is gaining experience, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, or whether I love it or hate it by the end of it. It's just like, I'll never make those mistakes again, or I'll know how to do that better next time.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay.
It's okay, Anonymous Fan. And thank you for the email. Thank you all for the emails.
Yeah. You're so good at sending emails. I wish
at sending emails.
I wish I could send an email, but
I've been trying to send an email to this podcast for literally years, and I cannot fucking figure it out. I don't know why they call it easy mail at all.
Not enough lube.
Patreon shoutouts.
Here we go. This is the bit where we fucking chill out. Hey, John. I got $3.
Okay.
What the fuck do I do with that shit?
Well, Bryan, I always kind of advise you on financial matters.
You do. You're a very lucrative man.
Yeah. If this is
lucrative man.
How many dollars did you say?
3 fucking bones.
And are we talking like a year, a week?
Once a month.
You have $3 once a month.
Yeah, with nothing to fucking do with.
Okay. Well, listen, buddy. I actually know this podcast that you can get full access to their Discord. You can just, you can hit them up, see what's going on. They might even write back.
Yeah, they might.
And
might.
I haven't even told you, like, the sweetest part yet, right?
What?
They will actually read something out on the air.
What?
It's called the Let's Fight a Boss podcast Patreon.
The fuck?
I know, crazy. You could be famous for a second. Patreon.com / LFAB.
Elfby.
It's late.
Elfin.
Elves.
Elfs Aben.
Elves. Patreon.com / Elves Avenue.
Yeah.
Check it out.
So you go to patreon.com / LFAB. There'll be an address on that website that you write on an envelope, put the $3 in, send it to Ireland, we'll get it.
Send $3 to Happy Dudes.
Send $3 to Happy Dudes.
You feeling happy yet, kids?
Niamh, why don't you take this first shout out from Zenkai Jordan.
Zenkai Jordan says, chillin' like Niamh on Christmas Eve. This was sent on Christmas Eve.
Alright, I got this next one. It's from Bored Skeleton. Looks like Bryan made it through 2018 without buying that Kirby soap dispenser. But let's just see how we get on in 2019. I gotta tell you, it's in my eBay watch list and to be continued.
Charybdis says, you don't need to accept a privacy notice to listen to the Boss Cat. Are we not selling people's... what?
I'm working on it.
Okay, alright. Okay, cool. Guys, what say we close things out with our loot drop?
This is the bit where we give back. Just a little something for you guys.
Yeah, a little something for you.
Just some weird videos on the internet that we want to share with you and, you know, watch at your own risk.
Yep, absolutely. Niamh, what do you got?
I got the Gay Nightmare.
Fuck.
Which is also my name.
Yeah,
This is a video by the Renegade Cut, and it's about the queer subtext and coding in Freddy Krueger's Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Oh, I love this video. I know this one. It's great.
It's really good. All of Renegade's Cuts videos are really good. The Gay Nightmare specifically is like how this was read at gay subtext, what it meant at the time. There's also some really good reading lists if you're into queer theory for horror. So it's just a really short and good video about gay horror.
Yeah. I got one called Best Reaction to My Horrendously Evil Level. Did you guys remember that Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy game that came out last year? So basically, someone's taken the philosophy of that game, which is like this atrociously awful game where you have to get to the top of this mountain and it's really just cruel and difficult and it's all physics-based and you could fall to the bottom. Someone's taken that design and made a Mario Maker level out of it. But what's really interesting about this level is it's the level designer explaining how the level works and the different pitfalls he's put into it. Then it cuts to a bunch of streamers just failing at the level and dying and getting so frustrated. And then back to him and he'll explain the next bit and the next bit and the next bit. And it takes like an hour to explain this whole level. And the whole thing, there's no way to die in the level. It's all just like, it's this really tall platform going up and up and up.
But it just knocks you back down to the bottom.
That you can fall all the way down. Like, there's kind of points where you might not fall down to the bottom. Or you might get super unlucky and just be knocked and knocked and knocked. And it's such a heartbreaking level and it's such a fascinating video. Like, it's really, really good. And it's like, it's funny. He's done some cool edits and stuff. And I had a really good time with this one. So check it out.
I've got 2 loot drops. Hope that's okay.
We'll allow it.
The first is from Vice's YouTube and it's just the story of Blue Dabba D by
No
Eiffel65.
fucking way.
And it's just... It was made earlier this year and it's just the lads from Eiffel65 20 years later talking about their hit song Blue and how that song got made and the delayed reaction to it, because they made that song a year before it got famous and they completely forgot about it. And then all of a sudden they had to like make themselves into a super group even though they didn't really have like that much of a chemistry with each other. And all of a sudden they're like support acts for like all the biggest bands at summer festivals. And it was before like electronic music was like super mainstream at summer festivals, because like it would have been before like Daft Punk were like proper Daft Punk and stuff like that, and Justice existed, and so they didn't really fit in anywhere, so they did like heavy metal shows.
Weird. Did it talk about the music video at all?
Oh yeah, they love Metal Gear Solid.
They love video games.
They do, and they went back and played Metal Gear Solid and studied it for reference for the music video.
That's so funny.
And they're talking about like what blue means to people, and they're like, it's just about the color blue. But if people want to interpret it a certain way, that's cool as well. I love that.
That's pretty good.
It's just a nice 30-minute documentary about how that song got made. They're all like trained musicians as well. It's super cool. Then the other one is the A24 podcast. They're the film distribution company. It is a conversation between Ari Aster and Robert Eggers. Ari Aster directed Hereditary and Midsommar. And then Robert Eggers directed The Witch and The Lighthouse, which is coming out later this year. And it's just the two of them being movie nerds for an hour.
Cool.
And they're just fans of each other's work, and they're just talking about like making movies and then doing the press kit bits and like they're tired and they talk about the movie and they'll say like one sentence about the movie, but all of a sudden that becomes the headline for the buzz tour of it, and they're like, that's completely out of context. And it's just interesting to hear filmmakers talk about stuff.
That Lighthouse trailer looked cool.
Oh my god, spill the beans.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
It's very good.
I really like how it's subtitled because they're not speaking like the King's English. They're speaking like just... They sound like the sailor or like the guy in The Simpsons. What's he called? Sea Captain?
Yeah.
It's just it's two characters who are the sea captain in a lighthouse.
Nice.
And it gets real weird. I'm fucking psyched for that film.
Yeah, it's all black and white. Looks great.
It stars Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson.
Nice.
Yeah.
Guys, that's going to do it for this very special Monday episode of the Let's Fight a Boss podcast. It's not that special because we're all going to meet on Monday after this.
Yeah. I hope the beginning of your week was as strong as we are tired now. Just don't go to work. You know what?
Just don't go to work.
No, hang on.
Just ring them up and go, nope. Not happening, buddy. If that is your real name, Bob. Just tell them, let's fight elves. LFAB, Ulyss podcast 2019. Dreams are real. Screaming nightmares.
Keep it coming. Just keep going.
Just words. Who
Just
fucking cares?
just words.
Just fade in the music as I talk
I know.
about... Let's talk about ducks once more. Bring it right back to the beginning, John. What have you got to say about ducks? Quack out one big one for us.
Quack, quack, motherfuckers.
This podcast